Whenever you get like cigar flavor, like cigar juice.
Like tobacco leaves.
No, like vape juice, but it's like cigar flavor.
No, yeah, but like the tobacco leaf taste.
Oh yeah.
Because they have like cigarette ones, but if you got like an actual, I guess like
cigar.
Cuban.
Yeah, Cuban.
Cuban salts.
Cuban juice. That'd be pretty mean, like, because they have like tobacco flavor. But it'd be mean if you could like hack like getting the branding of like each cigarette, like Marlboro juice, like fucking Benson and Hedges juice.
I think there is Marlboro because they bought into vaping.
Oh, you'd imagine.
Pretty sure.
Did they actually?
Yeah, they bought into what's that? Juul. I'm pretty sure they like try to.
Oh, Juul. Yeah, sure.
They're like the main shareholders.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. You'd have to fact check it, but I'm pretty sure it was on like a Netflix. Like they do different docos each time. It's
They
pretty
would have
cool.
planned that like way before like cigarettes started getting like banned as well. They would have seen like, oh, cigarettes are going to start like getting fucking more and more like out of date.
Yeah.
We'll take over the market with this cool as Juul.
Do you think they will, though? I feel like cigarettes are always going to be around.
Yeah, but like vaping's
Yeah.
getting pretty big.
Yeah.
It's
Kind of
pretty
ironic
timeless.
that a tobacco company would get into vaping because it's supposed to be something that like quits smoking, right? So to join a company of something
they're on
that's
both
making
sides
something-
now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like
They don't
there's
give a
so much
shit.
about vaping that we don't know yet because it hasn't been around for so long that it's kind of there's the unknown there about like actual any long term effects. So like there's also irony there, and like switching to vaping, in theory, is going to help you quit. But people are starting to like increase their nicotine levels and things in as well, and actually like become more addicted to nicotine because you can ramp up the amount of nicotine in juice, whereas cigarettes is pretty much like it's kind of a weird thing to
I reckon
transition
if I
to.
vape heaps in the night, I don't have a vape, but like if I vape heaps on someone else's vape, like the night before, I wake up in the morning like feeling pretty like sore throat,
Right.
like,
Real?
kind of short of breath and whatnot.
Yeah, that
As
kinda
opposed to like
makes sense.
cigarettes, like
Yeah,
still feel pretty bad in the
Wee bit
morning,
groggy, yeah.
but like kind of a bit more so of vape,
yeah,
I guess,
for sure. Yeah, it's interesting.
depending on how hard I go.
Yeah. And interesting that is doing it purely with the nicotine because I feel like what would trigger that feeling from a cigarette would be the smoke inhalation, right?
Yeah,
Feeling
absolutely.
that thing, but whereas it sounds like I suppose you're still doing that with a vape, though. You're breathing in, but it's not smoke. It's it's vapor. So.
Condensation.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if that's the nicotine in the smoke from a cigarette.
I guess the
that causes
harshness
that.
of like the
So it
dry,
translates.
the dry
Yeah.
leaves.
Yeah.
Cigarettes are more dry and
Could be
vapes more
pretty
moist.
yucky. Are you smoking rollies or Taylors?
Mostly Tailies, but I don't smoke every day. I like won't smoke through the week and then buy a pack on Friday.
Classic.
The classic.
Yeah, it is the classic. Yeah, I'm trying not to buy them at all, because I just know if I buy them, then I'll be back on the wagon, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I can have been able to control for the most part. Like I've been smoking for a long time, like in the grand scheme of things. But like
Yeah, me too.
when I was actually buying packs, it usually was only once a week anyway. But yeah, it's you don't want to be the guy that steals cigarettes off people either. You want to
yeah,
have like
yeah.
your own if you want one.
Yeah.
But like if you don't buy them, then you sort of have no excuse. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard, I guess, to stop doing that too for people that are actually like really addicted to it. But if you just don't buy them, then you don't have them. You know.
Yeah. That's why I only buy them on the weekend. And like some weekends I don't even think about it.
Yeah, it's
Just like, but yeah, through the week I don't even feel like a cigarette, to be honest.
yeah, fair enough though, because like alcohol actually brings it out of you a
Yeah,
lot of the time as well.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you have a beer and you're like,
absolutely.
oh god, like a cigarette would be so good. So it
The
triggers that too.
inhibitions go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Best combo though.
Definitely.
Beer and a cigarette.
Can't beat it.
Tasty.
Especially with like, I found with like hand rolling cigarettes, it just when you nail it, that's when your full blown addiction comes
Definitely
into,
the satisfaction.
It's an
Yeah.
art
to
form.
action. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's-
And that's kind of why I asked whether you're buying rollies or whether
I
you're
might
buying
now.
tailies, because there's definitely a whole nother thing. I think it's actually way nicer to smoke a tailie, a rollie as well. Like
Yeah.
tailies I've had recently, it's real. You get that groggy feeling like straight away, and it feels like you're actually having like way more at a time. Whereas a rollie, you can
More
fine tune it.
chemically tasting
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, definitely. And the other cool thing about rollies is you can have a big one or a small one if you want. You don't have to have like a full-blown cigarette.
I reckon a
each
big rollie though is fucking gross.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
the danger
not
zone there.
super big, but yeah, you can still control
Like
it.
people who smoke rollies and have like the extra large filters.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, that looks gross.
Yeah, I've never actually seen anyone buy those filters.
No.
Like who actually rolls
I reckon
a
it's
cigarette
all
that
like
big.
maybe people in their 40s.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like old head smokers.
Yeah.
But even then, like the papers, I feel like they don't even get around some of those big ones. Like you can get some pretty gnarly filters, and the papers stay the
Big
same.
booty
Yeah,
cigarettes.
basically rolling yourself like a tail again. That's how thick they are.
Yeah.
which is kind of the irony in it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's why like rollies are way nicer, I reckon, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like a little toothpick rollie. Little skinny
Just
boy.
suck it down. Roll.
One puff and it's done.
Home Audio Entertainment.
9016 Radio.
The show for artists of all kinds.
Sit down, relax, enjoy the music.
Okay, Lorna, it's your turn.
Have you boys been skating much recently?
Been skating heaps, like every day, pretty much, because my mate out in St. Clair, Harry Bergman, who has also
yeah,
been on
shout
the
out.
podcast, shout out. He's like gotten back into skating again, so he's been frothing, and it's kind of made me froth more again.
Definitely. So good to have people that are wanting to do it with you as well. Like, it's so hard to follow like a solo sort of pursuit on something you want to learn if there's no one else to do it with. That
Yeah.
can instantly kill your motivation. It's cool. And like,
Skating's pretty sucky when it's just by yourself.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's the
pretty
cool thing I
boring.
admire about skating is that like the communities you can have in the city that you sort of like once you start to know people and there's a place that you can go to and you know those people are going to be there
Yeah,
doing the same thing
absolutely.
that you're there to do. Like I just so jealous of that dynamic and that community that you get. Yeah.
It's a cool culture.
Yeah, definitely.
like it.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah, and just anyone like rolls down to the park and then it's like, hey, jump in the car, we're going to go out to Fairfield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then just you get a whole nother scene out there. There's like heaps of people from all over town. A lot of students, a lot of like surfers and stuff will go skate the ramps and stuff.
yeah,
But the boxes and like the street section's super nice. But yeah, it's like welcomed with open arms.
yeah, for
I
sure.
reckon, yeah.
yeah. I was always quite intimidated about like skating or like people that were at the skate park. Like I skated. I don't skate, but like the time that I was skating, I never wanted to go to the park because I was always so intimidated. And then once I actually went a couple of times with some mates, I was like, no one actually gives a shit. Like no one's calling anyone out for doing anything. Like it's just not part of it. And it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Like I don't know what I was worried about, but that was what I thought it was. It was such like a tight knit sort of thing, not like an exclusive thing almost, but it's not at all. It's so like,
Yeah.
definitely welcoming.
Even from the outside in, it could look like that for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's how I met pretty much everybody who skates in Dunedin. I just came down for like a week because I was on a road trip from Auckland.
Yeah.
And I just went to the skate park one day and my mate Kieran, he was like, oh, we're going to go street skating if you want to come. And then just met everybody. And then
Callum Parsons,
Callum Parsons, yeah.
good dude.
And then from there, just met everybody and then
Is that part of the reason why you moved here?
pretty much I came down here with my mate who moved here just for the road trip and then flew back to Auckland. And then I think like 3 months, it was only like 3 weeks later, I was going to move to Australia, but
shit.
then that kind of fell through.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd already quit my job and was looking for something to do.
Yeah.
So I just moved down here instead.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's wise. Yeah. And
Yeah.
obviously now that like all this COVID shit has gone down, you're probably glad you weren't in Australia.
Yeah,
Nah, this was like 3 years ago.
Oh shit. Okay.
This is
Long,
the
long
second time I've
Alright.
lived in Dunedin.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So where were you born?
Manchester.
No shit.
England.
Okay. Whoa. Yeah. Crazy. Damn, you've been around.
I
That's
didn't even know that.
no. Fuck. There you go. Manchester.
We're learning.
So your family's from England?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I only lived there until I was 6 though.
true. Did your whole family move down here
To Dunedin?
to New Zealand?
To New Zealand, yeah. My mum's side did. My dad's side still lives in Manchester.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. That sounds like a nice place. I really want to go to England at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been back once since I moved here when I was like 13, but it was pretty cool.
Do you think you were old enough then to really like sort of understand it again? If that makes sense. Because like,
Not
I feel
really.
like when
For
you're
me,
older,
it just
and
felt like a holiday.
yeah, for
kind of
sure.
thing, just
Yeah,
like-
and with family stuff, it's just sort of like
and it's like
another
seeing my
place that you are.
cousins again.
Yeah,
for
be interesting to
first
go
time.
back now and get like a new perspective on the city, like as a young adult, you know, because I feel like you do have a whole nother interpretation of places when you're a lot older. You actually like understand
for
it
sure.
more, and that's obviously just part of maturing. But like, it'd be interesting to go back now and see what it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like as soon as, I don't know, you can travel freely again, that's probably one of the places I'd go.
definitely. Yeah, fair enough. I wonder how long it's going to be for,
Yeah.
It's like this country's going back into lockdown now.
Yeah.
So it's just, I
scary
feel
to
like
think
it's just
about.
going to be this vicious cycle of like, oh, we've got another lockdown, and then people get annoyed, and then like slowly open back up again, and then like people get complacent, and it just spreads again. It's going to be back and forth, I think, until there's some sort of vaccine or whatever. But yeah, it's such a weird phrase, like when the world opens back up again. Like it's such a bizarre concept to think that like,
Hopefully.
yeah.
Sounds apocalyptic.
Yeah, it is. It is really, because and also being here in New Zealand, like we've kind of been complacent because we sort of like kicked it so quickly. We've had a good chunk of the year where we've been COVID free, whereas everyone else is still like dealing with it. So we sort of lose like our view on how it's actually panning out everywhere. Like you hear about it, but you forget like what they're actually in at the moment is so vastly different from what we are at the moment. It's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah, we're so lucky to be able to embrace like the freedom again.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty like grateful for how we handled it, and I feel like just individuals on a whole did pretty well.
Definitely, yeah. And it helps that like we don't border with any other countries.
Yeah.
We're such a small
Yeah.
population, and like our like mass of people are pretty widespread in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things. Like we're not a super congested country by any means. So like it was actually probably pretty easy for us. But it helped that our lockdown regulations were actually more lockdown-esque. Like some countries' lockdowns were like different. Like,
half-assed it.
I can't remember who it was, but I heard that some countries like lockdown, you could still go to like the drive-through and like you know go out for walks. And not that we couldn't do that, but like still enough. It's like that doesn't sound like a lockdown at all, and that probably proves why we did so well, because we actually didn't do anything for like 4 weeks. It was quite literally
I
like a
liked it.
lockdown.
I loved
It was
being
sick.
locked
Took it on the chin, and
Yeah,
was
most
sick.
people that I've talked to my age, our age, enjoyed it.
I had a
'cause
great
it was
time.
just time to just like fuck around and not have
Got
any
real
responsibilities.
nocturnal.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Skated a bit.
Yeah, you did go skate?
Yeah, we had like a car park like outside of our house,
Perfect.
and we kind of just like gathered heaps of objects from around the neighborhood, made like a makeshift skate park.
Sick.
sick. That's like, you know, youthful skateboarding right
It
there.
is, eh?
It's like when
In a
you
nutshell.
start out and you take things like at the schoolyard or in your driveway and get
Yeah.
into it.
That's
It was so sick. We had like a flat bar, a manual pad, like a little like wall ride kicker that you'd put like, it's like a quarter pipe that you put up next to the wall,
Yeah.
and you could like go off it like and wall ride and then come
Damn.
down.
Fuck yeah.
And then we had like this big like kind of like wheel thing, and you could like push it and then like hippie jump over it.
Oh, true.
Kind of sounds
Nice.
weird,
Sick.
but
Yeah,
it's pretty
I
fun.
understand it. Yeah, that sounds sick. Yeah, I think that's probably like skateboarding itself, probably super beneficial for you guys in that scenario, but just like getting outdoors in general, like still being
Yeah.
able to do that intermittently, I think was probably super helpful for a lot of people, because if you had to like literally stay inside, unless you were like going to the supermarket, like that would be even harder, because
I'd
the
be going
outdoors can
crazy.
affect you mentally so much that not having that freedom is
Yeah.
just, that's a real like lockdown, you know.
Yeah, that would be huge. I mean, I personally, if I don't go skate for about a week, I'll start getting cabin fever. Even if I'm going out and going to work and hanging out with friends and going studying and stuff, like if I don't go skateboarding, I can't get that release, that feeling of freedom.
Yeah.
Like I had to write a self-care reflection, and skateboarding was like part of that reflection. And so it entirely encompasses like spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, like the whole grand scheme of just well-being. Like you can't just sit around inside.
Yeah, definitely. Any physical activity, period, is super beneficial for your mental health.
Yeah,
And I've lost sight of that a wee bit. Like lockdown was a good time for me to start doing that sort of stuff, like being physical a bit more. I didn't do too much, but that's where I picked up yoga.
Yeah, nice.
Just going for walks and stuff, because it's just like, I don't know, it's the amount of time that you just have to think about like what you're actually going to do in this time, and like it was the perfect time, like no excuse time, to just start doing things that you've always said that you'll do. And like I should exercise more, I should go to the gym, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, well, fuck, like I've got like 4 weeks to just do nothing, might as well start like working out or something. So that's how I got into that. But that's cool. That obviously plays a huge part in your lifestyle, like skating, and I presume the same for you, Joe. Like I don't know, where is it just because like it's, I suppose it is the physical aspect of it, like the aspect
inherently,
yeah, and you guys have been skating
and
for years
like,
as well.
I don't know, creative as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Ticks
find
a lot of boxes for me?
Yeah. Do you find that skating like gives you a different sort of feeling than like making art, like in terms of painting? Like, can you compare the two, or is it like you have to get one?
I was talking about this with
both
Harry the other day actually, and I feel like I get a similar satisfaction from if I land a trick that, I mean, I've been thinking about wanting to do for a long time, or it's like something that I found really scary to try. I get the same satisfaction from landing that said trick as I do as like finishing a painting or something
that's so
that I've been working on for a while, or that I'm just really stoked on.
That's sick. That's sick that you get that feeling, because I can't really relate to the skating part, but the times that I have accomplished anything on a skateboard has been,
It's a great feeling.
it's such a different feeling to anything, just the physical like aspect of completing something, doing something right. That's like tiring and exhausting.
Yeah.
So much more gratifying than like something that is purely, I guess.
And if you
not
just
physical
fail
in
a
that
bunch of
sense.
times and get hurt,
Yeah.
just
It
like
just
get
like
obliterated on the
amps you
floor.
up more. Yeah.
And then you come away and you like get home that night, have a shower, all your cuts are just burning in the shower, and you get drunk, and just sit on the couch and you're just like,
I guess it's a huge
Celebratory.
motivational part of skating too, right? It's just that you can literally get knocked down and you have to like get up and push and push. Like, how do you guys get through that? Like, does it reach a boiling point where you have to give up that day, or is it like you have to push through it each time?
It depends, you know. There's definitely like boiling points where you'll get too beat up or too mentally exhausted, or you will like. Sometimes you just focus your board, you know, like as bad as that is, like you'll just put your foot through your board because you mentally can't hack it anymore. It's it's kind of like an opt out, I guess.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, I know personally, and you as well, and probably a lot of people, though, they will just push until they get it.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes it comes easy, and sometimes, you know, you do have to start going inside yourself and
for sure,
and figuring it out and pushing through.
I guess that is sort of like what's going to define, I guess, who progresses quicker or who is quote unquote a better skater than someone else, is how you actually have to deal with that part of it. Whether you actually push through and still achieve, or whether you just sort of like give up early. Because I get extremely frustrated with physical things like that, and I would just keep going to like the point of like breaking it or something. But I guess I think it's a fair enough like conclusion to come to if you can't actually like get what you set out to achieve, because you want that release, I guess, of landing it right. So to be able to take that out on just like breaking something, like I can totally understand how you get to that point of just wanting to like,
even if you break the board like that day, like so many people would go back to that same place to try that same trick.
Oh, definitely, yeah, because that would just eat away.
You could go back like 10 different days to try that trick.
You had to wait,
and even if you don't get it, you can go try it for years.
What were you trying to do?
Well, not me personally, but like you hear about like I don't know, like professional skateboarders will like fly around the world, like going back to a certain spot just to get this one trick.
Damn. What do you think's the longest like period of time that you've had to like achieve a trick that you set out to do, or like a spot you wanted to hit?
Well, I did a trick at the university like a few weeks. Oh, it was probably like a month ago now.
Yeah, a month or two.
But I first tried that like 3 years ago.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
and bailed and got kicked out by security. And then, but that was the last day I was in Dunedin, so I couldn't try it again.
Oh right.
And then
tricky.
3 years later, came back and Magic was in town.
Yeah.
He said we should go film it, and then
shout out Magic.
Happened to if I can get it.
Okay, definitely shout out Magic. Hey, yeah, that's crazy. But like in that span of time though, you weren't like you weren't able to sort of try the spot again. So
Nah,
it was,
I
there was
wasn't
still
here.
like a, it wasn't
If
like
I
you
was
were working
still
3
here,
years
I
to
think I would have gone back, like, you know, but
probably
sooner.
got it a lot sooner. Of
But
course,
I was kind of happy to not be here, so I didn't have to try it for 3 years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that
real
would be
scary.
pretty. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you'd given up like skating at that point. If it took you 3 years to get something, that would be extremely frustrating.
The
What
day Joe landed it, people were taking their graduation photos.
No shit.
Yeah. So
Did
it
you
was
get
pretty
any of them in
crowded.
the shot, or is it like they were?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you like kind of like pan like
Yeah,
down as I skate through.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of people in like
Sick.
graduation hats and whatnot.
Perfect time. Kind of makes it. Do you think you did that like help at all? Do you think like having the people
Yeah.
around? You definitely like, oh shit, like I have to
I
get
reckon
this now.
if you're
sort of thing.
filming skateboarding and you know that it's got a good backdrop or
Yeah.
like something cool in
Yeah.
the video, makes you want to commit way harder.
Have you found that like in practice where there's actually something around you at the time that is turning you on in a way to like getting the
Yeah.
trick? Like you've been like, oh shit, there's
Like,
someone
even,
here,
like,
or
small
like
things. Like
I think mostly architecture.
Yeah.
For
Oh, really?
me personally, yeah. Or
Interesting.
people.
Yeah. If you're like trying a trick and then you go back to where you're like, I don't know, running in from to like get the speed.
Yeah.
And then something different happens as like to any other try. Like, I don't know, you go back there and some guy with a weird hat walks past. You're like, okay, this is the one. And then go and commit harder than
Sick.
any other
Yeah.
try.
It's so crazy how it can totally like change something like mental can change something physical so drastically. Like
Yeah.
be put in the zone, so to speak. That's interesting.
Yeah, you put so much into it. Like if you know security's coming, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
Sick.
seeky pressure,
Yeah.
you gotta just do it. Like you
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
land it and
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that's pretty frustrating too. Like if you've been trying a trick for so long and someone comes and tells you have to leave, like what do you
Yeah.
do at that point? You just have to,
You have to pretty much go, yeah.
Put it to
I know
bed,
when you're
yeah.
younger, like people definitely like to talk back to the security guards, but like now as we're older, just reasoning with them, you might
sure.
get another
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
minutes. You might get another 5 to 10 minutes, and that could be what it takes to land something.
definitely. Yeah. And that's just part of like maturing, right? Just like
Yeah,
dealing with
absolutely,
human
for sure.
interaction, that sort of thing as well. But it's
Yeah.
definitely, I think, a big part of like, this is obviously outside perspective, but just like there's a huge part of skate culture that is about like disagreeing with security guards or, you know,
Yeah.
like starting shit with them because,
Yeah.
you know, you want to be able to skate. Like, how do you guys feel about that, you know, in terms of like, you know, I guess damaging property and that sort of thing? Is it a matter of like, is it sort of like a fuck it mentality where like it's a good spot, you've got to get it for the clip? Or is it again, this might come back to the maturity thing, but is it just understanding then that it's like, okay, yeah, sure, like we don't want to damage anything, but you really want to get that spot? Like,
I feel like if it's like someone's house, then
Yeah.
I feel
Oh,
a bit
you're
more
out.
bad about
yeah,
it.
for sure, yeah. But like public property and buildings
Public
and
property
stuff,
and
like,
buildings and stuff, I wouldn't really care, to be honest.
Yeah. Like
If they get angry at me, then it's fair enough, but I'm still going to try it.
yeah,
But
definitely.
if it's someone's house, I'll feel a bit more guilty.
Yeah.
But if it's a perfect spot, then I'll still probably try it until they come out and tell me not to.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably apologize and then just leave.
Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
like offer to paint it. I'll try and like
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it look nice
sway it a
again.
wee
That's
bit.
pretty
yeah,
good, yeah.
yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
But if it's so good, I mean, you got to try it at least once.
Definitely.
See what happens.
Yeah. I suppose it's a bit
You
of
got
a
to
rush
push your luck.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. If it's not something super, I guess, sentimental to someone, or it's just like a
Yeah,
curb
there
or-
is certain things you
Yeah.
shouldn't skate. Like,
yeah, definitely.
You don't go looking for spots in a graveyard or something
no
like
way.
that.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds a bit off. Are there any spots in Dunedin like that like you've always sort of looked at and be like, damn, that would be nice to skate, but like just can't for that reason?
I don't know.
Like I see the memorial and
okay, yeah, that's a pretty good
the
pretty good point.
oh god, the Queen's
Queen's
Gardens.
Gardens,
Yeah, I always see people skating that, and I sort of go, I think about it a lot. What do you guys feel about that spot?
I mean, I don't.
I mean, personally, like, I feel when Anzac Day comes around, I feel so grateful. So by doing what I have a passion for, I know it is a monument and it is going to chip it up a little bit, but like, I'm just like doing what I love to do,
Yeah.
and I get to do that because of people like them. So I mean, that
true.
sounds corny.
Yeah, but that's interesting.
It's
That's an
kind of like
interesting
a
perspective.
It's like a mutual respect. Like if I get some footage there or something, then like I'll feel good about it.
for sure.
Yeah, and
That's a really interesting.
it is a
perspective.
bit of a sacrifice though.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah,
But yeah, that is a really popular spot
Very popular in Dunedin.
On the odd occasion, I'll definitely think about that same fact. But I think, you know, you've got that garden around. It's usually really communal. People will be hanging out. And it just, I don't know, I feel like it just feels good. And that the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. When you guys are like, obviously, like this is part of your lifestyle, and it's part of like what you sort of just have to do in a way to like, I guess, keep yourself sane. Like when it comes to video parts, is there more of a drive to like complete something that someone else has set out to do? Like if Magic or someone is like filming skate part, is there more like like do you get ramped up more, or is there the same sort of energy in what you yourself are putting into it on your own time, if that makes sense? I presume there's more sort of build up and hype towards getting like a clip for someone else rather than just like doing it for your own sort of gratitude. Is that a different like feeling?
No,
if that's not too complex of a question.
If someone's making like a video, then I'll definitely put in more effort.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like, I wouldn't really go street skating without, I don't know, someone filming. Like, I would go street skating like just for fun, but I wouldn't do anything that would like push my limits super hard. But if someone's going to film it, then definitely like, it would make me want
more
to
serious about it, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I just forgot a question.
That was a good question.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel in regards to that?
I mean, honestly, like you go skating.
True.
Cheers.
You go skating just by yourself with your friends, and you have a good time. That can be equally as gratifying. But
Cheers,
I know that at the like H, for example, Magic's first video.
Oh yeah.
I was getting back into skating after a bit of a hiatus, and so from the start of that video, I was like nowhere near as good as I was at the end of the video, and that is really nice to see and feel, and then like have that footage to show you and the crew like.
So you can use that time to actually like put in more effort into like improving your skating rather than just like getting clips. It's actually like a period of time to actually like build yourself up. Do you feel that's what it's doing for you?
Yeah, it's that, and it's like it's being able to skate things that like they look nice, they look really good. Magic does a really good job of you know, capturing and editing the feel of Dunedin when he was here doing those videos and wherever he is and what message he's trying to get across. Like it's like a journal in a way.
I suppose you feel a lot more comfortable with Magic too, as opposed to like other filmers. Is it you sort of have to block that part out of it when you're skating?
You kind of develop it over time.
Yeah.
Just get used to the concept of someone being like behind you.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a lot more pressure too when there's someone filming you. Like it's not as
Good pressure
cruisy.
though.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to. You makes you want to.
Definitely.
Commit to doing what you're trying.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you like, I don't know, you don't want to waste their time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and like,
that's true.
Because they're not going to waste your time by like, I don't know, coming with like dead batteries or something like that.
Right. Yeah. I suppose it's a fine line, and I'm sure both scenarios have happened for most.
Yeah.
Has there been any like tricks that you guys have landed sort of on, like on your own time, or just like on a Saturday sesh or something that didn't get captured on film and you've never been able to like get it on film again? I always wonder that with skating.
Maybe
like, surely there's times where
Maybe
you've, like,
one-off,
you've done something, you've been like, fuck, that would have been sick to like film. But I'm sure, I guess like
I
bigger.
I just haven't really ever gone street skating without a camera and like tried something super gnarly.
Right.
Yeah.
So when
like,
you're going for a skate, you're just like going to the park or something. You're going to a
if
spot.
I'm just like skating for fun, it'll just be at the park. But if I did go street skating for fun and I found a spot that I thought of a cool trick to do, I'd just be like, okay, I know where it is. It's there. I'll wait until like another day and take someone with a camera there and do it then.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe like, I don't know, maybe try a little bit like kick out or like half-ass it or something like that.
Yeah,
just roll up to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's crazy how little things like that though can completely change how you skate. And it's such an interesting.
I just wouldn't want to try anything that's out of my comfort zone and bail when there's no camera there, even to capture the bail.
For sure. But I guess
the bail's the best part.
That was
really.
pretty good.
yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I can get that. I'm sure there's times where you you know, like you're going to be filmed for a certain part, and you know you want to do something big. Like, is there practice that sort of goes into it beforehand? You know, like, damn, it would be cool if I did this at this spot, you know, for this video. Do you do any sort of like, you go there by yourself and hit the spot a few times before you sort of hit whoever's filming to like come and do it?
I reckon there's like a natural build up. I mean, we've been probably both doing it for a while now. So like when you're a kid, you'll go skate at a school, and the first time you ollie like a 2-stair, it's amazing. And then you skate the 3-stair, the 4-stair, and you gradually build up. And then like over time, you kind of just remember how things feel, and you know like how to do it. Like I guess like the Polytech set, like the double set.
Yeah.
I've never skated something that big, but I knew that if I just pushed and like I had faith in the trick that I was doing, I knew how to do the trick because it's like muscle memory is super ingrained. It's just like pushing past fear and stuff, I guess, and trusting yourself after so many years of doing something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you find like you lose the part, like I suppose what naturally comes with skating is you sort of lose the fear of bailing after a while. Like I presume you crash and bail enough times that it just becomes part, like it's sort of almost a gamble really, obviously, when you're going to like bail or not. I guess you lose that fear, or does that fear sort of come back when you know you're like being filmed or something, you know? Does it ever put parts of it, times where you're like, damn, like I can't even seem to like land on the board at all? Like
I feel like certain things will set it off. So, like I've looked at something just walking by, and I've been like, I know I can do that, and then I'll go there, I'll roll up to it, and I'll just get some sort of madness that I can't overcome, which is like, it makes me think a lot about it. Like I'll just overthink it, I think.
I think that just sort of comes naturally anyway. Like you can't expect to sort of be on your game all the time. Like it's sort of going to be a day by thing. Sometimes you just have to take it on the chin and be like, okay, this is not the day that I'm going to do this trick, right? And I suppose that comes back to the argument about whether you handle that, how you handle that situation of like getting angry when you're skating. Like, can you just sort of like get to the point where like, that's not my day, and like I'm not doing it, you know? Because that's, I guess, again, to define like how you progress through it as well.
That's where yoga comes in.
So tell me about that, man. Like you're studying massage therapy. Go for it. So I presume you're using a lot of this, because I know one thing about you implement a lot of things in your lifestyle to like better your skating. So is this sort of purely like intertwined, or is it something on your own that you want to like achieve anyway aside from skateboarding?
So initially it was out of necessity. Like I was getting really injured. I had a scan on my knees. They couldn't find anything wrong. I knew like I had to find something that was going to fix it, and yoga definitely helped, and definitely like benefited me in terms of like warming up, warming down, and preventing injuries and things like that. But the biggest part I found, and still to this day, is just like I'll think to myself after a while, like of just skating around, and I'm not like concentrating or being too mindful. If I really want to land something, I'll think to myself like yogic breathing, and I'll start taking like a deeper breath and like kind of practice what we did in the classes or whatever, and that helps immensely.
I can imagine. It's that taking the 3 breaths and just like looking at the situation from like an outside perspective, almost just taking the time to actually take yourself away from the moment, like you would in yoga. You sort of, well, actually, I suppose you come one with the moment, but I
guess you're acting in the moment, but naturally, like if like you're trying to get into like a flow state or something like that.
For sure. And it obviously benefits you a lot physically. Like, would you do yoga like before you go skate to like help sort of loosen yourself up?
Just some like mobility stuff, and then mostly it comes after, along with like foam rolling, things like that. But you're right, like you said, I do a lot to aid myself to continue to progress with that, and
skating sort of at the top of your pyramid, is that right? And
exactly.
Everything else sort of works to that.
Everything essentially complements that, and just progressing as a person, because like obviously the skating's my number one, so if I can progress at that, I feel like I'm progressing as a person. But then you start adding in yoga and meditation and going to the gym, which, dude, you asked me that like 3 years ago, and further back, I would have called you a jock or something like that.
yeah.
But now I love it, man. Like that was probably the main thing that really repaired my knees. Just strengthening through there, and I was learning that through study like anatomy and then that coming with that, like to recover from training or recover from skating comes the nutrition, and it just like kind of leads into one big like I guess like not to like use a buzzword, but holistic.
Right.
Yeah. We're looking at it from a whole.
Sure.
We're looking at it from every perspective
makes
to
sense.
encourage growth in every area.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I think skating, do you think skating alone like helps you become a better person, or is it these things that you are implementing to improve your skating that sort of just spreads to a wider
It's a wider thing. Yeah. But skating's number one. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like an infectious disease where like I said, I get antsy if I don't do it. So it needs to be done. It needs to be maintained and looked after, and I need to do it for as long as possible. So that all just kind of flows in, and I'm glad that I started doing all that. Cause
that sort of brings me to my next question. Obviously being such a huge part of your lifestyle and like number one sort of part of like who you are, it's going to get to a point where obviously you can't skate anymore, which could be years and years down the track. But like, you know,
Kieran,
I presume
come
you're
on,
going to be
man.
doing it for
I feel
most
like
part
the
of your
yoga
life.
will
This is a living
will make
nightmare.
him skate a
So that's
a lot
something
longer.
you fear a lot.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was joking around, but
Yeah.
It will eventually happen. But if I can just like, if I can ride a surface and just kind of carve along, and I'm 50 plus,
Yeah.
I'll be happy. But then it's in my nature to like,
There's
it's
that-
in my nature to push myself.
Yeah.
So I'm probably still going to get hurt when I'm older.
For sure.
There's that. Do you know? Is it Gui Miyagi?
Yeah, dude.
Who's that dude that he skates with? He's like
The older guy,
he's like 80
helmet,
something.
and he wears a harness.
Yeah, he
and
wears a
drops
harness
in.
to drop in.
This is something you should almost look
He
up.
only
Yeah.
just started skating when he's like 80 or something.
What's the name?
on
Gal
Instagram, it's
Miyagi.
like Gal Miyagi.
Yeah,
probably
I've seen
butchering the
some
name.
pretty old skaters like
This guy's like he's old boy.
Yeah.
Old Japanese guy.
GOU. Should we do it in sync? Keep going in sync.
No, it's right there, the top one.
Yeah, that's him. This is just when you talk about creative skating.
that's
This is the pinnacle of creative skating.
Yeah, he's an old boy.
That's so sick.
I think there's a video of him dropping in.
Yeah, dude, you got If we can
this
find
guy's
it, it's
the cool-
amazing.
He's so cool. Yeah, this is him there, the one on the far right.
This here?
On the bottom.
This-
Yeah,
oh,
that one
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Probably says how old he is. No, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure he's like 80 something though.
And you say he was a harness too.
Yeah, there's another video. I don't know if he's under a bridge or something, but he is wearing a harness. Look at that steez, dude. Look at his arms.
Yeah.
That's sick, man.
Has he like
Yeah. See?
has he just sort of started skating like recently, or has he always
Yeah.
been a skater?
I don't think he's
I don't know
always
the
skated.
backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. I get
That's
the feeling that he's just started like
Yeah.
in his like 70s.
It kind of
Yeah.
seems that way because
He's-
like his body doesn't really feel like it's naturally doing it. Like he seems like he's really concentrating and forcing
Yeah.
himself to sort of do it.
This is what I love about skating, though. Like, watch his like body
Yeah.
and just everything, and that's individual style.
Yeah.
I love looking. That's probably
so
one of my
true.
favorite things about skating. There's so many different facets, and just style is
Yeah.
probably one of them. And even though he's new and like whatnot, but just that how he lifted his hands up, tucked in,
Yeah.
and kind of cannonballed in a way, it just looks sick.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
And the guy himself, Gal Miyagi, I hope we're pronouncing it. Yeah, there's the harness.
Yeah.
He's Gal Miyagi or Go Miyagi. He's like pinnacle of creative skating.
I suppose
Yeah.
he's at a
And
point
Joe,
too with this
actually.
harness that
Joe's
like
brilliant.
he probably can't actually afford to injure himself, so he probably has to have some literal safety nets. Yeah, that's so cool though. Like the drive to do that at that age. That's something.
I reckon
that's
it's cool
own,
how
you know?
he would have thought like, I want to skate,
Yeah.
but I should probably wear a harness.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
no one's ever
Never seen
worn
that
a
before
harness
either. Yeah, that's so sick. Yeah,
So
but like
it'll open up a whole another like thing of
definitely,
skateboarding, like
definitely
people
And, like,
going off skyscrapers with harnesses on a
for
skateboard.
sure. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it could definitely progress from that. But yeah, like in your guys' case, like you all already have that under your belt. and when you're that age, you'll already have sort of the natural knack for it. So you probably could find yourself like, if you're keeping up yoga and like nutrition like you're doing already, Finn, like you're probably going to take yourself most of the way through life still skating anyway. Like
I think there's a pretty good chance.
you look at like Gons and even like Eric Costin, he's not super old, but he's skating all the time, and he's like how old is he now? Like late 40s?
Yeah, he's got to be late
50s?
40s, yeah.
Yeah.
Dudes
Which
from
is
that
still
era,
pretty-
like that early girl chocolate era,
Yeah.
they all seem to have done really well. And there's others too, like
Even earlier, like Steve Caballero, he's
Yeah,
old as,
yeah.
and he's still like
Lungs Brigade.
catching air out of bowls and
For
stuff.
sure. I suppose, and there's a lot of cases where, like, especially people that are skating like big stair sets and things, like you probably fuck your knees, and it probably will get to a point where you actually physically can't skate or like even land on the board anymore because you've sort of like fucked your knees. But if you've sort of had like a chill skating sort of lifestyle, you probably last quite a while.
Like if you're a transition skater, you probably last a lot longer.
Yeah.
because you wear full pads and like
That's so true.
it's not too much impact if you bail right.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're
That's a
just
good
like
point.
street skating, jumping
time.
down big stuff, you just
Yeah.
blow your knees out, break a bunch of
Are you
bones.
guys scared of like a particular injury that is like common in skating that you like?
Rolling your ankle.
Yeah,
is the
that's
worst thing.
that's a pretty typical one. Eh?
Just like landing with your foot like half on the nose and then just going over the top.
Because I guess in that case, like, you really have to stop skating until that heals, right? Like you've basically
Yeah,
stopped
much.
your
a rolled
skating
ankle
until
takes so long to heal.
yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Yeah,
And
you
it'll
sort
be
of
like
set yourself up
half
for
heal,
future.
and then you'll be like,
exactly.
oh, I'll go
Could come
back, and then you'll
again.
do it again
Yeah.
because it's real weak.
Ooh, yeah, I'd just be so scared of like I've seen so many clips of people like missing a trick and like hitting the board on the tail and it pops up and like hits them in the
That's
face
the
or
worst.
something,
Yeah,
like knocking
that's so
teeth
bad.
out. That was what I'd be freaked out the most about.
Yeah.
Just
I've
having
snapped a
bloody
tooth
mouth.
before, my front tooth. Oh my god! Wasn't skateboarding though. It was
neither.
scootering.
Yeah, I smashed my front two teeth in half. That was just walking into a
Was it,
pole.
like,
and I
in
was
the
like,
middle?
Yeah, I had like a triangle. Like
Yeah.
in my front
I
two
got
teeth.
this the right one. Just
Oh
snapped
right,
it
and it's
down.
straight in half.
Yeah, it was like ping, and I was like 8, and I remember like, I saw the tooth flying away.
Or a comical.
I went to
like,
catch it, but it was gone.
Mine was at somewhere in Auckland when I was a kid. It was just like a wildlife park, and it was at night time, and there was this river of fish that you could look over the bridge at, and they had like all the pictures of the fish, and you could see what was what. And then on the other side there was a pathway, and there was a big map of the place basically. And I
Do
was
you know
looking over.
whereabouts in Auckland it was?
I don't know if it was Auckland. It was somewhere in the North Island. I think I meant to say North Island, not Auckland. Might have even been in Wellington somewhere. It was so long ago. But
was
anyway,
up there.
I was looking at the fish, and I don't even know how old I would have been, 10, 11, maybe 12. And I turned around and saw the map and went to run to the map. But because it was dark and not well lit, I somehow didn't see this massive pole holding like the roof up, like right in front. So I basically turned around and just went smack straight into the pole, right in the middle of my mouth. And weirdly enough, like I didn't bleed or anything. Like the teeth just snapped in half, like both of them just diagonally.
Was it
So
not
you didn't
hit
like,
the gums
not
or
far
anything?
up enough to hit like the nerves or whatever?
I don't know. Oh yeah, I think I just missed them.
Yeah,
So I didn't
my
have
sister's done that, and it just goes real grey.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did one of them was definitely close, and will like do the same thing. We'll start to get grey. It's already discolouring a wee bit, but it's it wasn't.
Did you get them like
It's just filled back in.
like a cap
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah. It's not it wasn't painful at all. I was
Wasn't?
just crying.
Really?
No, not at all. Like it because it didn't hit any nerves or anything. It was like
Yeah.
it's right on the edge that it just
Like snapping
just
a
missed it
fingernail or
all,
something.
and it didn't. I think it split my lip on the inside a wee bit, but it wasn't like I wasn't like bleeding out or
Tripping out,
anything.
yeah.
I must have just had such a wide grin that it just exposed my teeth completely and just like smacked into it. But, yeah, it wasn't painful at
So
all.
excited.
I was just crying because my teeth were broken. That was all it was. It was like never the same again. It's been annoying. Like it's not a terrible injury, but like
Yeah.
how many bones have you guys broken
I was about
over your
to
time?
I was about to ask, like, have you broken any bones skating?
Yeah, have you
I've broken
like any major ones?
I've broken quite a lot of bones skating, but probably the worst ones haven't been skating. Just being stupid.
Just other crazy shit.
I broke my pelvis when I was
Oh
like
my God.
13.
Jesus, how'd you do that?
I got crushed on a bendy bus, like
A what?
coming home, like a bendy bus, like the buses with a turntable in the middle.
What?
Yeah, what is this?
So I was like, it was like the third day of high school in year 7.
Yeah.
and I sat in this one like place every day on the way home from school, and it was like in the middle of the bendy bus where the turntable is. There's like
a bus that's in two and it can be.
Yeah,
oh, okay, I see what
exactly.
you're saying.
And there's
Sure,
like
sure,
seats in that circle part in the middle. I was sitting like to the side of those seats, and it's like seat little like area you could sit but you're not supposed to, and then a wall.
Yeah.
And then on every day I sat there, but I sat there like 5 minutes after we left school. But on the third day I sat there straight as we left school. But every day we'd go down the road, then do like a U-turn and then come back. And so I was like, oh, it's fine to sit there. And then just like got caught like on that fucking U-turn.
Oh, God.
And it just crushed me.
Shit.
Were you like
pushed you
stuck in there?
Yeah, the seat pushed me up against the wall and squashed me.
Jesus.
And then my pelvis snapped in half.
Holy shit.
And then
like,
the seat, like the bolts on the seat snapped up and popped, like the seat exploded off. And then I like fell out onto the floor and was like,
Jesus.
gasping for air.
So it wounded you, or did it do any damage to organs or anything? Was it just the bone?
Nah, just snapped my pelvis.
So it just knocked you out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have taken you out of the game, dude.
Yeah. I
That's
still
crazy.
like, if I walk uphill and put my hand on my hip, like
Yeah.
it kind of goes. But nothing like super. It's not. It hasn't stopped me from doing anything. But
Oh, for sure.
That's the worst thing that's ever happened
Yeah.
to me.
Damn.
Then
That's
it wasn't
gnarly.
even skating.
That
But I've
would've been-
broken other bones skating.
Yeah.
Like, your
Do you get
classic,
used
like,
to the pain
ankles.
of like your bones breaking? Like if you've had a few, do you just like, is it just like as bad as the first time, or is it like,
I don't want to say yes, but kind of.
yeah,
Like,
because the pelvis would have been pretty painful, I'd imagine.
yeah, that was like nothing else really. And I was only 13, so I was like pretty.
Bloody
I didn't like that at all.
I thought you were going to say it was
Pretty
like
bad.
nothing, or like, really? That's your fucking pelvis?
Nah.
Damn.
That's pretty
gnarly.
horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've never broken a bone.
You never broken a bone?
Damn.
I cracked my ribs and maybe
Yeah.
fractured my arm. But
Never
I
full
never got
break.
the arm scanned, and I knew just by like what was going on with the ribs that they were cracked because of waking up in the morning.
Right.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And we probably got, between us, we probably got like 50 sprained ankles. I don't know, something like that.
Wouldn't
I know I've
surprise
done
me.
like each probably like 10 times.
Yeah.
It's like rubber.
Yeah.
It bends now.
Yeah,
When
right.
I fall and it bends, it's like probably should have broken or something like that, but whatever's going on.
Have you
just-
never
it just-
broken the bone on the side of your foot when you've rolled an ankle?
No.
You know, like I've done both the bones on the side of my foot from rolling an ankle so much at the side of your foot. There's like a small bone and it'll break.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, dude, because I used to get really bad. Are you talking about on your pinky toe? That little,
Yeah,
it's like the little knuckle
lower
that
than
kind
your
of.
pinky toe, like right there.
Yeah.
If that was your foot.
What is it? I think it's.
My dad calls it the Beckham bone because apparently David Beckham used to always break it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
used to
would
get
make sense.
bruising there a lot, so maybe I have without knowing.
Yeah, I
Like
reckon
unbearable sort of
there's
bruising.
nothing they can really do about it. You get put in a cast, but you probably don't need to.
Mm.
There's a really small bone apparently.
But what did you have to do to heal your pelvis? Like, were you in some sort of body cast, or you
Nothing.
just have to do
well,
nothing for weeks?
I was just on crutches for like 6 weeks.
Right. So you could still put like sort of pressure on it.
Nah.
Like, did it snap
Just-
out of place, or did it still
It was just
like?
a clean. It didn't. It was like a fracture, but the crack went straight down the middle to
Right.
like from top to bottom.
Right.
And they didn't put me in a cast or anything.
Interesting.
They just put me on crutches.
I guess.
My mum sent me to school 2 days later.
So that it was just like a part of it, and it was still mainly intact. It just healed again. Like, it wasn't like a bit had sort of.
Nah, I
Moved
didn't
away.
like
Oh, that
go
makes
into
sense.
like a hinge or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that would have been probably in a whole nother story, I
Yeah.
would imagine. Yeah,
It was lucky that I could have died. Really,
yeah.
like if the seat
Yeah,
didn't explode
literally.
upwards, I would have been suffocated.
So
Because my friend was on the other side, sitting in the same place, but his side obviously opened up, and my side
Yeah,
closed
yeah.
up.
So if the seat popped off, isn't there some indication there that there shouldn't even be like a seat there? Like, or is that
It
because?
said there was a sign where I sat that
Yeah.
said "Do not sit here."
But why is there a seat
was it-
there?
yeah.
That's
It's
so
not a
interesting.
seat; it was like a little ledge.
Oh, I see. Okay,
So there's a seat like next to it, and then there's like a small ledge, and then a wall.
but even then, like if in that predicament where it's bending that way and you've gotten squished and the seat pops off,
Yeah.
how does it not pop off every time it takes the corner? You know?
Well,
If that makes sense.
it would probably just touch the wall,
Right.
but with me being in between the wall and the sea,
It's just added
Jammed
like
up.
pressure.
it's like
Okay.
jammed me, and then I'm pretty like tank.
Big boy Joseph.
Yeah, that's
I
such an
just flexed
interesting
and it
story.
popped up.
It'd be funny if the bus broke. Didn't break you, you just fucking pushed back on it. Wow. Never had a broken bone. That's pretty impressive, Finn.
Yeah, pretty lucky.
Yeah. You would have come pretty close, I would imagine.
Yeah, I get beaten up, dude.
Yeah.
Like always grazes, you know.
Yeah.
I got a couple now.
Sure. Yeah.
Mostly just a lot of bruising, and probably the joints just get a bit sore and sprains. But yeah, a lot of grazes, especially because growing up I lived on the hill up in Maury Hill, and bombing down hills there, just like you get road rash like crazy. I'm sure you've bombed a hill, no?
No, I went down most of the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's the safe option.
Yeah. Honestly, it's I can never get a grasp with it. Like I never really did much with skating, so that was a sort of a whole nother dimension on its own, bombing hills, and that was never something I could come to grips with. I could barely go down most like hilly roads without like eventually bailing at some point. Like,
Yeah,
I never go straight down a hill. I'll slide down a hill. I'll slide down most hills, but
just power sliding.
I'll never go straight down a hill
Yeah.
because I'll just get speed wobbles. And
Yeah, that's
broke my shoulder
that's
when I was
the
like a
worst
kid,
feeling.
just like trying to skate down a hill.
Yeah.
And then just never again after that.
You learn pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there there's ways to like counter the wobbles in some instances?
Yeah, they say you carve out of the wobbles, but I feel like once you're in there, there's no
You're
getting
fucking
out.
done. Yeah, I've seen some
It's
pretty.
better just to jump onto your bum.
Yeah, a lot of the GX1000 clips.
Oh, yeah.
Most of those guys are bombing hills like after every trick, and I'm just
yeah.
I get nervous watching that. Like I feel like I almost feel what they're feeling going down the hill.
Yeah, it's
like I get like,
panic-inducing.
oh Jesus, like
And then once they like go down, and then the hill turns into flat, and it's like,
Yeah.
woo, and they get the speed wobbles like on the like,
yeah.
when it
When
goes
they come
from
back.
down to flat, it goes like, woo, and then-
you just tell. And when they push through it, you're like, fuck, I guess that's what makes it so impressive. Because like, holy shit, you
Yeah.
got through like the speed wobbles. It's insane.
those are some of the best videos that have come out in a long time.
Yeah,
For sure.
Hands
Yeah.
down.
GX1000.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, I feel like I know like what's good and what's not a lot of the time when I'm watching skating, and I know what I enjoy in skating. But there's a lot of times where like I see this is coming from you guys will be able to give a good insight on this, because obviously being skaters and me not being a skater, sometimes when I watch a clip, like there'll be like the ender sometimes to a video, or like sometimes you see a clip of someone and like everyone that's there spectating is going crazy over this trick, and sometimes I go, oh okay, that was obviously pretty impressive to them, but not so much to me. I guess a lot of the time, like what goes into a trick is actually like the difficulty level. Like it might not look super flash, but to like skaters and skaters alike will sort of understand what goes into a certain trick. I wish I could give you an example, but you know, there's a lot of times where I go, oh, that didn't look that impressive, but was probably actually super tricky for someone to actually do. Like I suppose there's certain spots that you guys know. And sometimes even like watching a skate clip, sometimes like with like fisheye as well, you can't actually gauge sometimes the distance of something. And from someone that hasn't been to the spot and is watching the video fresh, you can be like, you know, I could see that and go, oh, okay, that didn't look that big. But then you're actually there and you go, oh damn, that's a big spot.
When you actually go somewhere, it looks 10 times bigger.
Because there's
than
been
it
a
looks
few
on
times
camera.
I've like been at a video opening or something, and everyone's going crazy over this one clip, and I'm going, oh, okay, interesting. And I sort of think, well, it must be just a huge, like to be there and see it and actually know, like there might have been so many tries that went into that clip as well to actually be like, damn, like.
And if you're at like a video premiere and it's like people go crazy just because it's their friend.
Yeah, exactly. There's that too, eh? And sometimes you go, oh, okay, like that's cool. And that's another part of like the community is like you guys know what has gone into someone doing that trick, and you can appreciate them and what they've achieved. Whereas to an outsider, you might not really understand it as much. And that's cool to actually even be in the room with you guys, like watching a clip, because it's like these guys are just like on their own sort of thing. It's just, again, like comes back to the community of skating. It's just so sick.
Yeah. Absolutely. What I love about it too, you know, you've got like people doing different things. You got friends that are in bands, friends that are artists, and friends doing all sorts of different. I don't know. They just do different things, and they get the full support of everyone.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
Like it's and they're not like gassing you up to where it's like they're just telling you it's good. Like, trust me, you get torn to pieces.
Yeah,
Like being part of the community, but
Sure.
you also get respected and
Definitely.
and appreciated when you are doing and coming through and doing things that you enjoy and doing well at it.
Yeah.
It's so it's really great.
Yeah, and again, like I said at the start, the thing that I love about skateboarding and its community, like local and everywhere, is that you can have a group of people that are all there to achieve the same thing and work with each other like at the same time. And just going to the park, you can be with a group of people and having that group dynamic and knowing like what everyone does and what they can do. And like you say, having other, like someone that paints as well or someone that makes music as well, you've got this whole community really there to like support you in that other thing that you're doing, which is a pretty special thing in its own, to have like a tight-knit group of friends that you have one skill set with and they can be like, oh damn, he also does this as well. Like, it's such a cool dynamic to be.
And it like opens you up to like a bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
If you're a skateboarder and you don't, and I say if you were just a skateboarder and I know you make a friend through skateboarding and they're into something else, then I know that's like a gateway for you to try something new.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, whether it be like music, art, surfing.
Yeah, that's so sick. And the cool
Anything
part
really.
about most of the cities that like Dunedin and Wellington, like there's so much of that going on anyway. Like it's almost natural to fall into one of those fields alongside something else that you're doing. I feel like
Dunedin
most people
has so many activities. It's crazy.
Definitely. I feel like most people have at least two sort of things.
I went
or at
rock
least one,
climbing last week. It's crazy.
I
How's
think
that?
you'll get into that full time.
Oh, I don't know. It's too scary.
Surely.
I climbed up this big rock though. And it was like,
Whereabouts did you go? Long Beach?
What was that one?
Long Beach?
I think it was. Yeah, it was Long Beach, and it has the like
That's a
little
nice
like
wall there.
you like set up the rope and then you go up it. It's so scary. Like I got like halfway up, and then they were like, "Yeah, fucking go, Joe."
Yeah.
And then I looked back down. I was like,
Okay.
Oh.
You totally lose sight of what you're actually
and
achieving.
then
You do
I
that.
got to the top, and then they're like, "All right, just abseil down now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't want to." Like,
That's
super
crazy
scared.
because you have to, like, in order to set the ropes up, someone has to go up there first, right? To put the rope
Yeah,
in.
I think that's the gnarliest part.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Because I've always thought that. I'm like, well, how does the rope get up there? It doesn't stay there all the time. Like, someone's got to balls it. And
You mean
get
they
up
got a
there
free
and-
climb up there?
Yeah, free climb. Yeah, that's it.
But I think you got to get to each like where you put the
can
carabiner.
Yeah, that's true.
So
you can
you-
weave your way up there.
Yeah,
so to speak.
If you do fall off, it's kind of sketchy, but like you won't fall super far. You'll fall like 2 meters, and if you fall right,
that
then you
makes
just
sense.
fall back onto your feet on the wall.
yeah.
I've only been one time.
Yeah,
but
so that
Wouldn't
makes
be that
sense.
person.
yeah, I wouldn't do
Yeah,
it.
that's pretty gnarly stuff. Yeah, especially somewhere like that where there's no sort of safety. It's not like an inside area where you've potentially got like safety nets at the bottom or something. You've just
Yeah.
got rock and sand. Like,
Yeah, I hate climbing as well.
you hate climbing. Did
It's
you
so
say?
scary.
It's a pretty intense experience. I haven't done it for years, but I've climbed Long Beach when I was younger, and I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty fearful thing, but like the fact that you have the rope there is almost like
Yeah,
you sort of lose the fear of on its own. But I guess once you're actually up there, and if you're not good with heights and things, it can be a bit.
I'm like all good with heights, but like at the same time, like looking down that high, it's like
It's,
oh,
it's
God.
different when you're clinging
Yeah.
to your.
If I'm like up on the top of a building, like looking
you can
over
look
the
down.
edge, I'm like, that's
Sweet,
all good.
yeah. But when you're like, if I let go, I am going to fall.
Yeah.
That distance, that's a whole
different
nother
game,
perspective, eh?
Yeah. What made you like want to start doing this?
Well, I was talking to Finn about it before. I started listening to podcasts over lockdown. And that's essentially the story. I was like, oh, damn, that would be cool to do one and talk to like people in Dunedin, because there's tons of cool people in Dunedin. So
Yeah, and there's nothing really going on like that in Dunedin.
yeah, well, I didn't really think about that at first, and then the more I went, I was like, damn, this might be quite cool, because like it'd be, you know, if there were tons of other podcasts in Dunedin, that it kind of wouldn't make sense because there's already that sort of content out.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like it's a sort of a first. That's quite cool, I guess.
Yeah.
to-
Yeah, so
It's
people
not like
a platform too.
oversaturated at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, very open and
trying to keep it that way. I'm trying to keep it like as natural as I can, and like I sort of want to. It's tricky because I want to. It's weird trying to like presume a conversation, I guess. So like sometimes I'll get someone on, I want to talk about a certain thing with them, but sometimes it's not actually that easy to bring that topic up. Like sometimes you can't come straight into certain things, and like I know personally, like I don't really want to interview people. That's the other thing. I don't want to come on and be like, hey, so, you know, even though I've been asking you guys questions, like, oh, yeah, I don't want to have it like that sort of formatted, you know, pre-thought out, almost awkward, pressurized sort of interview.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to like have beers and like not have like an intro or anything. So I'm like, right, and here we are with Finn and Joe. Because I don't like the tackiness to that. I'm trying to keep it as organic as I can. But yeah, sometimes I want to get like, say, a musician on, but like not actually talk about their music.
Yeah,
there's a concept I'm trying to
random
like,
stuff. And then
exactly.
Kind of like,
get their
what
insight
about
on
this?
things. Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like there's a couple of people I've had on where we've just talked about them, and that's great because that's what a lot of people know them for in most cases. But I also want to be like, well, what else can we talk about? Sometimes it's actually hard to turn the conversation into something else without really having, because like there might be something that someone has a lot to talk about, but you don't know that. So how do you get that out of them if they don't bring it up? You know, you could talk for a couple of hours to someone about something that you just click on, but you might never know it.
If people listen to like the podcast because they're interested in that one person, and then you're talking about something completely different to what they know them for, it's pretty cool to like, you know,
definitely get a different perspective.
You know, everybody knows me because I'm a skateboarder, but like little do they know I'm a rock climber too.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sort of shit I'm trying to achieve, because sometimes it could actually be like, that's exactly it. If you go on there expecting to hear about their music, you probably know a lot about their music or whatever it is already. So like sometimes it is nice to get a lot of that out of the way, but you want to get some other shit about that person out. But it's sort of something I'm learning, I guess, about conversation.
Some scandalous shit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, how do you get to that? And I guess that's the joy of the conversation as well, is finding things out, like you breaking your pelvis and that whole thing. It's like, oh shit. You know, I want to come to more of those revelations through that, but that just comes with, I guess, just doing it more and more.
I think like personally, obviously, like a lot of what we talk about is stemmed from skateboarding, but it leads into just so much more. Probably because it is like not a sport. It's not any one thing, and you know, it leads you into different avenues like photography or videography or creating art or anything like that, or like, you know, you care about it so much that you take a sort of route or whatever, like I did. We can go anywhere with it. It's kind of
Have you ever
crazy.
thought about like another aspect of skating that you want to do? Like, have you ever gone like, damn, that'd be cool to pick up the camera and film someone sometime, or do you sort of or do that already?
When I was younger, I'd take photos, and I got into the idea of like capturing like images of skating and the lifestyle around skating, sort of what like Callum does, I guess. But I was like younger and not as probably developed as he is now, and then I got sick of carrying a camera bag around when I was trying to film. So I just sacrificed
carrying anything like skating super like I don't know, it's just like not that fun.
I
still trying to like skate down the road, and you're like, even with like, I don't carry a wallet, I'll try and leave as much stuff in the car as possible.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. I've definitely done a couple like skate homes from the supermarket with like shopping bags, and that can be super
rough,
fucking tricky.
horrible,
It just doesn't really work. You just throwing your weight off.
All you have is an empty bag.
Exactly. But the work bag. That's cool though. That's cool that like skating is opening your mind up to other things, you know. Is there anything that like you definitely known as like derived from skating that you know you want to get into? Like, have you now sort of gone back to photography and been like, damn, that would be cool now with what I have already to go back to something else?
Yeah, I mean, I've got like a decent understanding of it. I developed like an okay like eye for it, and it is on my mind, but it's not a focus that I have right now. I would get into it probably, I don't know, later in life.
I think photography is a cool thing to get into later in life. Like I feel like it's quite a chill like hobby that you don't have to put a lot of time and effort into. It's not physically enduring. It's just something cool you can just go and do. And it sort of gets you like out of the house as well. If you're at a point like you need to go and do something. I really admire photography. I think there's something quite special, and this probably sounds real corny,
Seems
but
really
like
calming as well.
It
go for a
actually
walk and
is. Yeah, like I've
just
had,
see the beauty in like, everyday
100%.
life.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's such a good excuse to just go for a walk, which can be hugely beneficial a lot of the time. But one of the things,
Especially if you get that satisfaction from like, as we said before, like if you land a trick or you finish a painting, you get that same satisfaction from taking a real nice photo.
absolutely.
Like you get that satisfaction from doing something that doesn't hurt you at all.
Exactly.
All you had to do is go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like that's just
That's
the bee's knees.
That thing in itself just translates to like anything. Like the fact that people can get that same joy from something that they are already skilled at or love doing. It's what keeps you going, right? Yeah. But I think I found with photography, I've only had my camera to like take photos of paintings and things. I've never really properly used it. But I took flatmates went out to the wharf to swim the other day, and I thought, well, I won't swim, but I'll come along, and I've just brought my camera, and I just got out and took some photos and filmed some videos, and that alone was like just as corny as it is, again, like capturing that moment is actually like quite special, because it's like, you know, there's I don't know, it's partly stigmatized, like that whole concept, but like actually doing that when it's like your friends and it's like something that you've done, and like you have that like memory captured, like it's quite gratifying. Like I've never really like done that before, so to have that like afternoon like recorded, like I don't know, it's obviously been around forever, but it's like it's actually quite an intimate experience, and really like
I saw it on your Instagram. So
looked nice.
It's a fucking perfect
made me
day
feel
for it.
happy.
That's the other thing.
yeah.
You're just like, oh damn, like that's cool. Like and
it's like classic like Kiwi thing to do. Like go
100%.
swimming at the wharf.
I should have dove in myself, but I was totally there for the film. But yeah, it's quite a cool thing to do. Definitely something I want to do later in life as well. I think it's quite an interesting thing. Yeah,
it always attracted me more, like taking photos, or just honestly, like when I was a kid, and I'd go to the supermarket with my mum and pick up like a magazine, or I'd be at the skate shop looking at a magazine, I could just sink in and just not think about anything and look at the photos and think about what was happening. Like I really enjoyed that, probably more than videos, to be honest. I don't know like what it is, but yeah, I feel like
there's something quite immersive.
It's a still image, and you're absorbing the feeling and emotion and what's happening in it more. I think you get more time to let it sink in.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is pretty cool.
There's also more imagination in the photo too. Like you can
exactly
picture, you picture the whole foreground of what's going on, and like the feeling of that person, like before it's, you know, how it all pans out. Like it's quite interesting, and it's
like, imagine like what's happening behind the scenes.
It's cool to be able to do that. And like photography is interesting though, because like anyone can take a nice photo, but it also can be like really tricky as well. It's one of those things that's hard to sort of define, sometimes good photography and bad photography. I sort of struggled sometimes, looked at certain work and gone like, it's a nice photo, but like, I don't know, not that everything has to be like skill based. I think it's part of like the art and photography is being in the moment and like being at the right place at the right time sort of thing. But like sometimes it is just quite literally just like a point and shoot scenario. There's a whole other concept tied around it, and I guess that's probably the beauty of it in its own, that anyone can do it and get that instant gratification from doing it as well. You guys you obviously are both in the art world alongside your skateboarding. Like, has that sort of intertwined a lot at all? Like, Finn, it's something you've picked up recently, isn't it?
That's something separate, to be honest. That's something skating hasn't. Oh, I guess skating like led to open-mindedness.
Sure.
And creative thinking and using that side of your brain. But yeah, I'm super stoked on it, man. I'm just a beginner, but I love it and I really enjoy it.
What more do you need to say? You know?
Exactly.
It's just, that's all that you really need to start doing it and keep going. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think had sort of like inspired you to even start doing? Because you're mainly working with like collages and things at the moment.
Mainly
is that
collages,
right?
yeah.
Did something like spring that up for you, or were you just like, damn, it'd be sick to do this?
It might have been photography.
Yeah, right.
It
Yeah.
might have been looking at still images and sitting there for half an hour before I could finish like a magazine, and then being like, I want to take these bits and pieces that I really like and put them on paper together and see how I can make that work.
Yeah, that's creating a whole other world really with combining the art, the painting, like because you do a bit of
painting with it, and oil pastels and stuff.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah, I think that's really cool in between, because like I really like the side of painting like a new image, painting something that is purely just like coming from the paint, and then I really like the side of photography that brings like the real life aspect to it. I think it's such a cool medium to bring the two together in the way that you do, and the stuff that I've seen of yours is
Have you ever tried putting
that.
I've never done collage before. No, I don't. I've never. I'm still sort of new to the photography thing, so it's something that I want to get a bit more aware of, I suppose, or more sort of in tune with. But I don't know how I would even do that. I feel like with you having done that now, I would have too much of a forethought about what I would want something to look like, and almost like, because like it's quite rare when you see something like it's happened for both of you guys with me, or like that painting that I'm buying off you. And I saw that, I was like, damn, like I want to do that, but I know I can't do that. And same with you. And it's like, I love the vision of what you guys have like put together, like aesthetically, like everything. It's, I don't know. I don't. It's so hard to explain why you like a piece of art, right? But just you guys hit it both of those two pieces, and it's a crazy thing, because I'll just have that set in my mind. Like I'll just want to try do that. But like there's sort of a line, I suppose, where you just like take in another idea and replicating again. So I feel like if I'm going to combine painting and photography, it's going to have to be in a way that like feels right for me.
Put your own twist on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's the whole part of being creative, right?
And if you, I don't know, gave it a go, you'd probably find that like
it just comes together.
It would come, it would come to you eventually. Like, I mean, I'd paint quite a lot, but most of the time I will ruin something completely and then just paint over it again and again and again until like I find something that I like.
So you're painting most days?
Yeah, at the moment, since I've moved down here. Like, well, I've been painting like most days for the past like 6 years.
Right, so you're well into it, eh?
Yeah, but for the past like maybe like 5 years, just doing like A4 like paintings, a little bit of collage kind of thing. But since moving down here, I try to like do more big stuff and like try more mediums of things.
For sure. Is there anything you're wanting to get into?
Well, I tried oil painting.
Oh yeah, you were saying
last weekend, and I really liked that. So maybe more of that.
Definitely, yeah, that's cool.
But other than that, I've been doing a lot of like kind of like using power tools, like chopping up wood and painting wood and like collaging, putting a lot of depth into things.
Sick,
which has been really fun.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
Yeah,
it looks real cool.
Like bolting, like drilling, I don't know, what is it, like screwing things to stuff.
Yeah, that stuff's so satisfying, like physically, like actually making something is an art form in its own.
Like when I moved back to Dunedin, like I think it was like 3 or 4 months ago, I went to the library and like went to like, I was like looking at heaps of like New Zealand like artists in this, like I think it was like in the art section of the library, I'm not too sure, but there was like, I saw heaps of as I don't know like who the person was, but they would use heaps of different like kinds of wood and like staples and nails and stuff, and just like mash it all together. And it was like looks super cool.
That's sick. Sculpture. Sick.
I've never done any sculpting, but I'd love to.
That would be so cool. But like it doesn't have to even be like clay or anything. It can just be that, like putting shit together and making like an object. I think that's a whole nother thing in itself, like separate from still visual art, I suppose, or like in terms of painting and drawing and printmaking, that sort of thing, like actually making something, like making an object. It's a lot more intimate, I think, because you're really working, like, not that you're not working with your hands like in painting, but it's I don't know. It's so hard to describe like these art forms and what they do for each other. But
Yeah.
like, I guess you just have to
When
try
you're doing it, you understand.
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
But then it's just
yeah,
hard to describe.
and that's why anyone should do it, because it's the feeling in its own of actually making something and coming up with concepts,
just expressing what you're
yeah,
feeling.
definitely. Yeah, and not even like expression sometimes, just like the gratification of making something.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't always have to be art, quote unquote. It could just be you just made like a table or something, and that's just like in itself is like I did that. That's my thing that I did. You know, that's just such a good feeling to finish something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to like get into carpentry and stuff. I like making like chairs and tables and whatnot.
That'd be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think furniture is like a really cool thing in its own. Like if you can make furniture,
Be a
I
really
think
cool
it's
like
designing
concept for like
furniture and
a
making
like an exhibition as well. Like
Yeah,
just
definitely.
making like a bunch of
Imagine
random
a whole-
chairs or like a bunch of random tables,
Imagine a whole exhibition room full of furniture.
or it's
That'd
like
be sick.
a big exhibition of just like a massive pool table that like weaved all around the room.
That'd be sick.
That'd be
Yeah.
sick.
Here we are
we're
creating
brainstorming.
exhibitions.
Yeah.
This is good. Might have to have some conversations afterward.
Yeah, a couple ideas like popping up for sure.
Yeah,
You could like make your own balls as well.
yeah.
Make them like all different shapes,
Damn,
like rugby ball shapes, basketball shaped balls.
damn it, Joe. You got us going now. Yeah, but that's why like you have these conversations, right? Is to bring up ideas with other people and figure out like, oh, okay, I like that, but I would do it like this or that, and come up with new ideas for things. It's an endless cycle of stuff. Yeah, that's sick.
It's a driving force.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. In terms of like your guys' art making, like you say, it doesn't really have anything to do with your skating. So is it sort of filling like a hole that you didn't have before, or is it just like putting your, because like would you consider your skating like a creative outlet,
Yeah.
or is it purely
Sometimes
just like a
when I skate
expressive-
with Joe skates really creatively.
Yeah.
And that is something I really enjoy doing. I just don't really film it.
right?
It's not I don't know why, but it's just not a style that I've like captured.
Sure.
But I enjoy skating like that. So yeah, I occasionally get a satisfaction of, creativity from skateboarding, but I dabbled with like poetry for like maybe 6 months, maybe 4 to 6 months, some amount of time that, it didn't last, but I still enjoyed it. And then it sort of moved into artwork, and yeah, I feel like I have a desire to fulfill all sort of areas, and collaging and mixed media, if you
Seems
will,
to do it.
is doing it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have like I guess an appetite, kind of like yourself, maybe, for just new things. And dabbling with like the idea of it, and then getting into it and seeing how I enjoy it, and see how it rolls out, and it's kind of like that. But yeah, I think it's sticking.
Yeah, seems like it. Yeah, well, I hope it does, because again, like your stuff is looking really pleasing
Yeah,
to me.
I'll have to bring something in.
Yeah, for sure.
Just give it to friends
Go to friends.
and keep it in a banana box, and just fill it up.
Have
Just
you
fill the whole thing up.
Have you had to price anything up for anyone yet? Like, has anyone like asked to price anything off you yet?
Nah, I was gonna I played with the idea in my head about throwing stuff out there that I thought was good, that I was like happy with, and would sell it, and just be like, hey, if anyone wants this, like, give me an offer that you think's reasonable, and it could be $2 or $20 or whatever.
It's interesting
that'd
when
be cool.
when you start out
Yeah.
making art, how to actually price things up. Like,
Yeah.
you've been painting for a while now. I'm sure you're fairly familiar with the concept of having to price like your work.
Not really,
Not
to be
so
honest. I've been painting and doing stuff for a long time, but I've never done an art show. I've only ever done, like, at my old flat in Auckland, we did like a couple like small art shows at the flat, which would be like me and then 4 of my other flatmates were all painters, and then one of my flatmate's girlfriend, she was like a fashion designer, but she had like heaps of like, I think she had a couple of like her clothes that she made, and then heaps of like old like vintage clothes that she was selling as well. So it's like kind of like a
cool to have a diverse exhibition like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not just one sort of sole medium. You got a bit of variety.
and there was like video premieres and stuff like that as well. But that's the only art show I've ever been involved with.
But surely you've had some interest at some stage in those 6 years that you've had people sort of asking about stuff.
But I've always just been like, yeah, give me whatever you reckon.
It's interesting, because like
you need to like at some point you need to start like making the call to be like, this is worth this much money.
There's a point,
exactly, and you're right. Like when you start out, like the thing that I thought the exact same way. Like anything that I made, like the very start of me painting was just like, oh, you like this? Like, just have it, sort of thing. Because you want to be able to do that
a bunch of times.
Yeah, you want to be able to just give your work to someone. But like in those early stages, of course, like you're pretty much only going to give those pieces to your friends right and there. Like either not going to be able to afford what it might be worth if you were going to put it up for sale for someone else, or you want to just give it to someone because they want it and you've made it. But it gets to the point where like yourself, you've been doing it for so long now, it gets to a point where it's like, well, okay, I'm obviously doing this on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So I regularly need new canvases and brushes and paints and things. So it's nice to be able to actually go, okay, yes, I appreciate you want this, but yes, you do need to pay for my work now because I need to be able to keep that hobby going, right? But the concept of pricing something that you've made, if you're not familiar with it, is a really weird thing, and you almost like...
Yeah,
it's you almost feel like it's not worth whatever price you can put on it. It's at least that's how I felt about it. I felt like I couldn't make it this much because that's crazy.
I feel like you just
don't want to undersell.
You need to do it. Like I feel like you just get to a point where you just need to like, I don't know, put yourself out there and make it that price. Yeah. See how people react to it.
Definitely.
If people react to it good, then obviously that's a good thing. But if not, then I don't know, maybe reevaluate, make it a bit cheaper.
Yeah, that's
and then
interesting.
Build up from that, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you get a grasp of like, I guess your audience at that stage as well, and then you get a grasp of like how much people are actually willing to spend on the type of art that you're making as well. Like once you get a couple sort of sales on your boat, you sort of get, okay, well,
you need to make a name for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you want to be able to establish like a stage at which, like, if you're selling things quite often, it could be that people, because people aren't going to say to you like, oh, $50, like, sweet, like, or, whatever the price is going to be, and then you start thinking, oh, well, if they're so willing to pay 50, should it be more than 50, sort of thing. It's an interesting thing to have to like explain, and like you don't want to sort of ramp prices up too quickly because it's a weird thing to put a price on your own work, especially if you're sort of struggling to sort of, I guess, come to grips with even having your work out there at all. That is a big comment to get past, is being like, oh, like if someone's going to buy this, I don't want them to be so out of pocket for it. But then it does get to a point where you're like, okay, well, I'm doing this now, like, you're going to pay the price for it.
I think it depends where you want to take it. Like if you really want to push yourself and you are getting really good and you're getting a larger and larger audience, you have to know your worth. Like, and obviously, like, you're going to have pieces that are worth quite a bit, and then you'll have like a middle ground, and then just, I guess you can base it off sales and how things go and whatnot. Definitely. And even it could be anything. You could be making a T-shirt or pottery or anything. I think it is important to know your worth, even to friends. It's a pretty weird discussion, to be honest. Like, I feel like there's certain things and certain times you want to go and you'll do a deal, but then if that word gets around, you can't like maintain just doing deals and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you guys talked about it. Like, there's a point where you have to know your worth and sort of set the standard for yourself.
Yeah, you have to look at yourself outside of your friend group too, because a lot of the trouble that at least I've come across, and I'm sure a lot of other young artists have come across, is that most of your clientele, especially if your work is a bit more, I guess, abstract than the norm, especially in the type of art that you see like within New Zealand, a lot of your clientele is younger people that don't actually have a lot of money to spend on art, especially if you're making like lots of art or big pieces of art. Like you don't want to underprice things when you got to take yourself out of that friend group and look to the wider audience and rather just sort of thinking up of a price that is nice for your mate, think of a price of what it actually is worth to someone that hasn't met you but can look at your workflow back to whatever date and see like what you've actually achieved in that amount of time, how much work goes into that thing. Which can be hard to do because, you know, even then it might still seem unfair to price at a certain price. But I think once you get a grasp, like once you actually sell something for what you really think it's worth, even if you're overestimating and someone actually buys it, you can go, okay, well, there is actually worth to that, and they are willing and they understand and accept that price that you've set with your understanding of it, you know.
And then you have a foundation to work from.
Sometimes you just sort of have to play the... You just sort of, I guess, gamble a wee bit and just be like, okay, well, do it a wee bit more than I think it's worth. Because I think your own interpretation of whatever your price is, realistically, probably should be a wee bit more, because other people are going to say, oh, well, it's worth more than that, you know, because you always tend to sort of undervalue yourself a wee bit, you know, just self-critical behaviour will typically do that to you. So you probably just have to go, okay, just a wee bit more.
You don't want to have that like weird conversation where it's like, oh, what, you're charging that much money for that?
Exactly, and it's such a weird thing because it's not just like, you know, stock at any retail store where the price is what it is because that's how much it costs to pay for these materials and make this product, so this is the price, and there's no negotiation. It's like you can't, once you set the price, you can't really alter it. You can't be like, oh, it's not selling, I'll sell it for this much, because that sort of takes away the value of it, literally, as well as, you know, figuratively, I suppose. You've just got to, I guess, be careful. And it's a funny thing to come to grips with, and I guess it just comes with time, like figuring out how much people do want to actually invest in your work as well. And I guess you'll start figuring out that cycle, but it's this tricky thing to come to grips with, I suppose.
It's making me think about like massage therapy, you know? I'm thinking about getting a table, like a portable table, and I'm coming into the last sort of 4 weeks of having a diploma, so I can practice. I could get a job essentially in a clinic or start my own thing and legally practice. So right now, I think there's like, I know a roundabout's value I would charge for a half hour, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, but I am going to continue studying next year, and as my skills develop with that, like learning more, I'm going to have to raise the price, because like I'm paying to learn more. I'm paying to learn how to help someone more. The more effective I can be, then I feel like the more I can charge.
Because then, and same with an art practice as well, it gets to a point where if that's what you want to do with your life, it essentially becomes a business. So you have to literally take into account what it is, you know, out of your pocket to get the things you need to do what you're doing, and then you will easily be able to justify the prices that you put on things. It's the same with art. You'll get to a point where like, right, this is what I'm doing on a weekly basis. This is what I need to keep me going. It's at least this much, because it takes this much for me to make that. And all the things I need to make that thing, or, you know, do that task, whatever, it'll just become natural. But it's tricky when it's a side
and time
thing,
as well, like how much time you put into one piece of art.
And for some artists, it can be weeks, months to finish one thing.
The amount of time, like time varies as well. Like I could do something in an hour that I'd like more than something that took me like 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
And that's like the best feeling in the world when you do something in an hour and you're like, that looks so cool. And then the worst feeling in the world is like you've taken like a month to do something and then you turn around and hate it.
Yeah, definitely. I've often priced things based on just like sentimental value to me. Like if something is just more, it's just I guess closer to me, or I just like have such, you know, like it's that outcome where you're like, yes, that is what I want to do, and it's perfect and it's great. And another piece is not so great. That piece that I like is probably going to be priced a wee bit more because it means a bit much to me, and that's a big factor that I've taken into putting prices and tags on work is purely just that. It's like, well, this piece is quite personal to me. If you want to have it, it's going to take you a wee bit to get it away from me, which, you know, I don't know how that might be a bit controversial, but that's a huge part of it, right? It's an intimate experience. It's a personal experience in terms of expression, so that's justifiable.
That makes complete sense. Yeah,
for sure. What do you guys see yourself like doing career-wise? Like, have you ever thought about putting skating into like a career like, how do you, living where we're living, how would you even become like a pro skateboarder? How would you even be like, how would that even be your life? Is that even a thing in New Zealand, you know?
Not for me. For me anyway.
Rare, yeah.
I don't reckon it's definitely not on the table for me anyway.
But like for anyone that wanted to achieve that, like what is really there for someone that wants to have a career in skating?
Yeah, so
I mean, New Zealanders have done it.
yeah, they've definitely done it. I mean, recently there was like a really big part on Thrasher and the guys from Greymouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and moved to Christchurch and stuff
Who was
like
that?
that.
For sure, seeing some
Max
doing.
Cooling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was from Greymouth.
I'm pretty sure it's from Greymouth. Yeah.
Claim it.
Yeah.
Greymouth.
But yeah, I think
Shout
like
out Greymouth.
there's like shout out Greymouth, shout out West Coast. I think that there's like a couple ways like to go about it. You know, you get real good within your scene. So like say Dunedin, and then you go to Wellington or Auckland, or you go to a city where, I mean, the Manual magazine and sponsors that they definitely, I don't know if I want to get into this, a little bias towards North Island skateboarding. So like Wellington, Auckland, you're going to have more opportunities.
Sure.
And then you probably jump over to Melbourne or Sydney, and you just keep progressing, I think,
So
because like
you quite literally take yourself further.
yeah, and you know, like multiple ways, and from Australia, you can, I don't know if you can make a living, but you can like,
You can make I reckon you could make a semi living.
yeah, you'd
in
probably be
Australia.
able to work part time and like
Make
3
enough
days a week
money
and-
to live.
yeah,
Maybe
and-
like maybe not. I don't know. You probably couldn't do it forever.
Yeah.
But I reckon you
Naturally.
could definitely make enough money to live off skateboarding.
yeah,
And most
For
of
a
that
while.
comes from sponsorships and stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So how many like of the brands that are mainly in skateboarding are actually sort of like I don't know, someone like Spitfire or whatever? Do they have sort of like bases in Dunedin that can sponsor you that way, or does the sponsorship
Comes out of Auckland, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
So
There's
there
like
is like
distribution companies.
is there a lot of New Zealand skateboard brands that like you can sort of be a
shout
part
out
of?
Curb Skateboards.
True, yeah.
Let me get that plug in.
100%.
Yeah,
So
Christchurch.
Christchurch, yeah.
Yeah.
So who's affiliated with that, and how does that sort of I guess, get around?
Gerard Bloxham Garage. He owns it. He runs it, and then a lot of Christchurch skaters get into it. Hugo did some designs for it. A couple artists like help him out with like graphic design and for tees and board ideas, and I think Garage does some of it himself as well. Basically, everyone I know has ridden a Curb, maybe not consistently, but has had one of their boards. They're really good.
I've had one.
Yeah. The main guy really is Matthew from Christchurch. He's super talented,
Very talented.
and he's definitely like the main guy, and he like rides for Curb, and then I ride for Garage Curb as well.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't know how many.
That's
other
cool to have
people-
a local platform, you know. For us
Yeah, I like it a
to
lot
achieve.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because I was writing for the distribution companies when I was a little younger. So like started with a shop sponsor, and then went on to the distribution companies, and it just felt, I don't know, it felt kind of wrong, felt weird, didn't feel like what I wanted. And I think I started like skating less or not enjoying it as much, and so I dropped that, and then I met Garage and started writing for him, and it's super sick.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
To get a bit more, I guess, like if you were like have you, is it the only company you ride for, or like are sponsored by, or how does that work?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll skate his boards and wear the apparel, which is like basically just the two things he does, and he has a wee store. And then I ride for
They
Pavement.
got wheels as well, don't they?
I think he did do some wheels, yeah.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Wheels.
So the money comes in from the merch and the boards and things that they make in order to pay you. Is that right?
Oh, he doesn't pay me. That's
okay.
That's
Purely just your support of the company.
We basically support each other. I think did Element ever pay? Like when Element had a New Zealand team?
I'm not too sure. I know that they'd pay for trips and stuff.
Yeah, like you get a per diem and stuff.
Because how does that? This might be a stupid question, but how does that actually work? Like when you get sponsored by, or you ride for a skateboard company, you become a pro skater. Like where does the money come from to the skateboard company to pay the skaters? Is that purely just through the boards and the
I think it's like
merch and
royalties.
stuff? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But then, like, even if you don't have a pro board, you'd still get paid.
Yeah.
Like, if you're, on the team to an extent.
Yeah, I'm sure even
You
flow
don't have to
skaters
have a
get paid.
pro model board or like a pro model something to get paid money.
Right.
They just pay you to, put out footage and to rep their brand kind of thing.
Yeah,
So it's purely just like the skateboards that they're profiting from to pay like you guys. I'm just thinking it from like a business perspective. Like what's the main source of income for those companies to be
for
able
the
to
companies
pay?
that's selling their products.
Yeah, it's purely just.
And then for you, it's like if you have a board, it'll be royalties. If you get like a cover, you'd get paid from that. Even probably photos, you'd probably get paid for that. Ads, I think they might have to pay for, but yeah, it's just from sales of their product. And they obviously
sense.
like skateboarding's huge, so
Yeah.
big brands are making big money.
Definitely. Yeah, especially these days, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Especially if it's like kind of a bougie brand as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Hard
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I've heard that Palace has like, if they go on trips, they have like the meanest trips ever.
Well, fuck, like
like
when your
rent
stuff
out
gets into like the
mansions.
fashion world, like that's just a
Yep.
whole nother market you've just opened
Yeah.
up to like buy your stuff, and like Supreme as well. Like that's just a whole nother whirlwind of just
They'd
that's
go on a
not-
skate trip and stay in like,
Is there
fancy
is there even a
hotels.
Supreme team at the moment? Or
Yeah.
are they purely
Yeah.
just like a label now?
There's
There's a
a Supreme
team.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's probably kind of the lines are probably a bit blurred because there's probably heaps of affiliates.
Sure.
They might not necessarily like skate for the team, but there's definitely like
I reckon
some
there's
solid guys that
They're back
that
an
skate for-
American team and a European
Yeah,
team.
the European team.
They'd probably
Pretty
be like
big
a
in France.
Japanese team as well.
Yeah, they
But
probably
that'd
do.
be low key.
What was it about Supreme that made it like pop off into the fashion world? Like
I don't know.
it's so crazy.
I have no
I guess
idea.
it would have just taken like
Just selling their
some
t-shirts for so
celebrity
much money.
wearing the
Yeah,
I guess
someone
that it
Charge
just-
heaps of money for something
They
and
knew
all
they
these
were
people are
worth
just gonna
yeah.
jump on the bandwagon.
It's so crazy.
The
to
same
be
with
able-
art. Like if you charge heaps of money, then people are just gonna be like, oh, if it's that much money, surely it's
Right.
great.
Fuck, do you think it was just a ploy to just like make
I mean, I
people
do
think?
like Supreme.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy how like it's just like a skateboarding brand has just become one of these labels where like they can make a keychain and it'll sell, you know.
stupid.
Maybe it's
amount of
just
money.
outlandish ideas.
That's crazy.
that draw people in. They're like, well, that's just kind of out of the box. It's
Yeah.
sick. I'll pay this much for it.
It's
And
just
then you
like
go-
hype beast culture, right? Like you just pay absurd amounts of money to have these things because it's this thing. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a Supreme shit.
People see it, they're
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, he's
It's
got that, and
such a-
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what?
It's a statement. It's a
just
statement.
Then what,
weird.
right?
I just don't understand that concept. It's like, cool,
How
you
much
have
further
that.
does it go?
You know, you go out a couple of nights with the shirt on, and you know, people think, oh, this dude's got a Supreme shirt on. He must have a lot of money. But in reality, they probably just saved up their month's worth of pay to buy this T-shirt. You know,
Yeah,
it's such a weird thing. And like they're making bricks and all this other weird
Yeah.
shit. It's like
Colgate.
That's Supreme Colgate.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's pretty sick. They have a
Band-Aid.
they have a similar logo as well.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
kind of
true.
do. That
Imagine
works
a
well.
toothpaste that
box
just
logo.
said
That
Supreme on it.
marketing's off the fucking chain. It's meant to happen.
So simple too, that logo. It's
It's
just
Minty Fresh as well.
Supreme. Red box. That's all people want.
Yeah. That's simple
Yeah.
but effective.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the key. And sometimes you never know that thing is going to like work as well as it does until it starts going off. You're like, oh, right. Okay. That's all it took. And like, I think people appreciate like the smaller stuff like that, the subtlety,
Yeah.
I guess, in some things.
I think
like
that's
that.
why it's so popular as well, because it started from just like one shop.
Yeah. Crazy. The
And it
fashion
comes from
world
like
is
a
crazy in that sense.
inner city kind of
Yeah,
like thing as well.
definitely. Yeah. It's crazy stuff. Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it started.
Yeah. Well, you're
York
probably
City,
right.
yeah.
Like,
New York City, just one
yeah.
small shop.
Yeah. That's where it started, eh?
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I think
I'm not too. I haven't done my research.
90s,
That's what it seems like.
The weird thing about Supreme is I didn't actually know it was a skateboard brand for a
I
while.
don't think
The
it
first time I
didn't
heard.
used to be.
I think it
I
did.
listened to a podcast or something. It used to just be clothes, and then someone started working there, and it's like you could make so much more money if you make a skateboard team. And then
Interesting.
they started a skateboard team, and then they took it in that direction,
Right.
and made it way more popular.
That's an interesting way to go about it.
Mm.
I wonder, like that must have been like in the 90s then, I presume.
Not too sure,
Because if
right?
it was a New York based thing, that's probably why the suggestion would have come forward. I presume if skating was like
But I think
a big thing in the
skateboarders
90s.
definitely like wore it a lot.
Right. It just become a part of
they
their
didn't have a
culture.
skateboard team until I'm not too sure. I think it
Right.
was a fashion brand until they like made
That
a
would make
skateboard team
sense.
for it.
Yeah, right. So skaters decided they wanted to wear Supreme,
Yeah, like
and
it
so
was
they
just
wanted to
like
dive
a-
into that market.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And I guess like being skaters wearing it, like I don't really know much about the term like streetwear or something like that, but skateboarders are in the street all the time.
Yeah,
So
it's
then
quite
it's like-
literally street.
Yeah.
So many fashion trends have come from skateboarding.
It's a trip.
The amount that I've been involved with over time, like watching skaters, people that I know that skate and people in skate parks and stuff that they wear has influenced me, but it's just been ingrained into like today's street culture now, like stuff
Yeah,
that
for
skaters
sure.
were wearing like years ago. It's
Yeah.
such a crazy world, like how people look at skateboarding and perceive it and take ideas from it. I don't know what it is about like skaters, they just know, what's cool in the corniest way of putting
Yeah,
it,
yes, super corny, but like pretty true.
So
Like,
true.
like I guess like Dylan Ryder.
Yeah.
Look how many
100%.
people he like changed the way they look and dress,
Same.
and
Huge influence on
probably
me.
started smoking and
Yeah,
things like that.
100%.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. He very, very inspirational for me. Like I based hugely like a lot of what I wore based on. I have like the same fucking tattoo
yeah. I
as
feel
him.
like I've kind of seen
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
Can I get a look at that? That's sick, man.
Yeah,
That's real cool.
It was kind of it was definitely based on like him. Like I'd seen that and been like, damn, that's sick. Like I love this dude so much. I'm gonna get a tattoo like his. And then he passed away, and it was like, oh, okay, now this is like a sentimental tattoo.
Yeah.
So it kind of just worked out really well, which sounds terrible, but like
No,
that's
it's
just where
sick.
it come from. But yeah, hugely inspired by Dylan Reader and the stuff that he wore and the way
Yeah.
he looked and approached things was like, oh shit, because it was so different, at least to me, like from what everyone else was doing. It put skating in a whole new light for me.
For sure.
Just crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if he started the whole like cuffing your pants thing.
I feel like
feel
he
like
was
Jason
one
Dill.
of them.
Jason Dill,
actually,
yeah, he's pretty huge on it.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
so.
that's true, because I thought it was Dylan for ages. And then I found out about Jason Dill sort of through Dylan, and then sort of looked at some of his older parts and was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, he was on some shit like when he
Yeah, for
was
sure.
young, that's crazy. People always get influence from someone. It always backdates to something, so it must have come a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a couple of interviews with Dylan where he talks about like how a lot of his style and stuff comes from Jason. Yeah, and that backdates
Cool.
for quite a while, and that's like sick. Like, fucking, yeah. I
I
watched
like Jason Dill. Have you seen the epically lated of Jason Dill?
Yeah. I've seen pretty much all of those epically.
Those-
laid
yeah,
videos.
it's
They're
a
so
series,
cool to
yeah.
watch. Yeah, I love those. Yeah, he's and his art. Jason's art is crazy. Like all the FA stuff,
Yeah, it's super
really
good.
nice. Like just all the videography and like I saw some interview with him where they did like it wasn't a day in the life. It was just an interview like at his house, and he was just showing all
think
these
I know
like
the
pieces that he'd like painted. I was like, fuck, this dude's fucking sick.
And his collages
Yeah.
are really good as well.
Fuck yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Subconsciously, that might have been an influence
Yeah, oh, I wouldn't be
on
surprised.
collaging and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Like, yeah,
I feel like
that
the
like
whole
flash
reason-
imagery and their ads and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely like a whole. I haven't watched a decent amount of skate films in my time. You guys probably would have seen a lot more than me, but like to be able to like transfer, you know, art into, I've only seen it like really done in a way that like I guess I've noticed or appreciated through what FA puts out and like their artwork and how they actually present the skateboarding and like what's involved in clips and things. Again, just put a whole new perspective on like skating for me, just sort of opened up like a new window of what you can do with like a skate park, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I really like their point of view on it and just like their creative aspect and how they're doing things.
Yeah.
It's
And
pretty sick.
speaking of Anthony
Van England.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They put out a part recently, or it was like a 14-minute video.
Yeah.
And he has like a wee part in that, and he's still fucking.
He's
doing it,
fucking
and
amazing.
how old is he? He'd be
He's
like
been
42.
going for a long time.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how old he is.
He'd be in his 40s for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing, like, dude, the thing about a lot of those American skateboarders, not all of them, a lot of them are like addicts and stuff like that. And then to see them still skating so good now, it's insane. Like,
Yeah, and I guess like in their like because they're in America, like they can really have that lifestyle fully involved in skateboarding, right?
Yeah.
Like they can not easily, like there's I guess a lot more opportunity for them in the skate world because there's so many companies based in America. A lot of culture is derived from American skateboarding, so they just have
The idea of being like becoming a pro skater is a lot more like
American.
acceptable.
Rock star.
Yeah, quite right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so like in their case, it's probably just a lot easier and I guess a lot more probable for them to actually have a lifestyle in that too.
Yeah.
I was trying to look up his name, but I've brought out. Oh my god, I brought out some other guy as well, Anthony, because him and Jason both are pretty like old in terms of I guess like skate. He's like 41, so he's not that old, but still like
For skateboarding, that's
doing
pretty
what
old.
he's doing at 41 is pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like
super
still.
impressive.
Yeah,
Well, I wonder how old Tony Hawk is.
Fuck,
I
he's
think he's about 56,
he's
57.
50s, yeah, for sure.
Pretty fucked.
That's insane. But like you were saying before about like how a vert skater probably has a longer like lifestyle in
Yeah.
skating, and that's probably why he's still doing what he's doing because
true.
he's in knee pads and helmets all the time. So
But still, he's nearly 60.
yeah,
He's
still
60
doing
years
900s
old.
and shit.
Yeah.
How do you guys like? Like it's quite a different world, the vert world and the not flat ground world, but like the street skating
skating,
Like
Yeah.
world.
proper like oververt half pipe, like
Yeah,
what they actually
yeah.
skate is so scary. It's so massive. It's like
It's my limit.
13 feet at least. It's got to be at least like 13 foot
Yep.
oververt ramp.
Yeah.
And it's like
Pretty intense.
so scary.
Yeah. Is there like I don't know, do you guys know many like fully vert skaters?
In New Zealand,
In New
There,
Zealand?
yeah, the
There's a
dude who
few.
runs Irem, he was like,
Yeah, he's real
he
good.
actually was one of, I don't know about one of the first pros from New Zealand, but he was pretty early on, and he was a vert skater, and he's still really good as well, and he's probably in his 40s.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is there any like? Is it all
Lee-
very much the
Lee
same
Ralph.
in terms of like
Yeah,
vert
Lee
skaters
Ralph.
and street skaters? Is it very much like the same sort of mentality, or is it quite actually a different sort of type of person? If that is even like a thing at all.
what do you mean?
Do you know? Does that make sense?
I
Like,
think I
is
know what
there
you mean.
is there definitely like a vert skater crowd and like a street skate crowd, and like would there be any sort of like I guess opposing trains of thought in terms of like the
if
two?
the scene's big enough, for sure. But I don't know if I don't know if they'd be like opposing in any way. Just what they enjoy. I mean, usually, I suppose like a lot of bowl skaters and vert skaters are a lot more like hesh. They're more like metal, which
Right.
is probably the only defining sort of factor. I
Yeah,
can
that's
think
sort of
of.
what I'm trying to get at. 'Cause I
Street
know-
skating is a lot more
Yeah.
90s hip hop, jazz.
Yeah.
That's true.
Some like indie pop and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely that sort of divide.
That's. I'm glad you said that because that was what I was trying to get
Yeah,
at. I
it's
was
well
like, I'm
done.
sure
Yeah.
there's some sort of dividing thing between
you're
the
right,
two. You
yeah.
know? And like a lot of times
That's
that have
cool
been to
how it's
park,
like divided like that.
Yeah.
'Cause it shows like
how diverse
the music,
thing it is.
how you like compared it to music. Like, so if you're skating like I don't know, big transition, you're listening to like heavy metal music. Whereas you're skating street, you're listening to like hip hop or jazz or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
and
you
it's
can
all very
like
much the same.
compare
but
it
it's
like
so
that.
diverse and different at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
it's just such a crazy world to be a part of, and crazy how much skating has just escalated in the time that I've like known about it or like seen, you know, people be part of it. It's grown, ever growing. You know?
Yeah, still it's like going crazy
Yeah.
at the moment. Like every day,
Yeah.
having Instagram is just like the most crazy thing to have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, being
Seeing-
able to put anything you do on any given day,
Just being
on social
able to
media.
see what people are doing.
Yeah,
is fucking
exactly.
So now,
Yeah, super inspirational. I bet, to be able to go, oh damn, he did this. Let's go do it.
I
I
didn't
try
even
not
think
to
that was
watch
possible.
videos. It's real weird. Not
Really?
even on
I don't even follow
not on
pro skaters on
yeah.
Instagram.
I just, I don't know when it happened, probably a few years ago, I just stopped watching skate videos.
All right.
Yeah, it's really strange. Like, I just didn't want to be influenced by anything that I, like, didn't sort of deem the way I wanted to skate.
Yeah.
Like, when you're a kid, you take it all in, you soak it all in, like, you're a sponge, pretty much. And then, now I watch, like, Supreme videos and GX1000 videos, and that's probably about it, and local videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that though, because these days there is almost too much influence at some points. Like, it sort of gets to a point, if you're in the echo chamber of whatever thing that you're a part of, you can almost get too much and sort of have too many preconceived ideas about what you want to do, and then it becomes not so organic, and you actually start making things just based on something else.
Dude, it's like style's one of the hugest ones too, because like you could watch heaps of footage and you could love certain skaters, and like I probably still have some of my style influenced by certain skaters, but if you get super into it and that's like all you're doing, watching like those videos, I reckon like it can change the way you actually skate. So
Yeah.
and not be as organic.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I get the influence from skateboarders, not so much trick wise, but like how they act, like on camera kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like how they would like act between tricks or like skating up to do something.
Yeah, it can
like,
be. It could potentially be very
trick-wise,
false. Eh?
I don't know. Like, I can only really do the tricks that I can do, but like watching them, how they like approach a trick or like act between clips is like more. That's more the influence, like the influence
that's
I
more what
take
you
from
want
it.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
because people can really put on for the camera, right? So like you could get a totally false perception of what someone's like, but I guess in the case of skating, like you've still got that like raw style aspect of it in the trick that you can draw inspiration from as well, rather than
I
sort of
just
the
like to
person
see
itself.
people having heaps of fun.
Yeah,
like,
for
when
sure.
they're skating.
Naturally, right? And that's why you do it as well, because you like to have fun. You want to see other people doing the same thing, right?
Like, I don't know, when I was a kid, I didn't really watch too many like skate videos, but I used to just watch heaps of like Mike Gonzalez videos, and he was always just having heaps of fun like skating down the street.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's the definition of like having fun while you're skating, right?
and that was like I never used to skate street, and after that I'd skate heaps of street, and have heaps of fun, and then I started filming skateboarding, and then I don't know if I like brought that into how I skate, but I'd like
sure
to think
there'd
I
be
did
a wee
a little bit.
grain of it somewhere for sure. Yeah, that's cool. But like, I really respect that, Finn, in the way that you haven't really like fully immersed yourself in clips, because like that's a huge part of skateboarding itself, and anything creatively that you're wanting to draw inspiration from, like inspiration is key to a point, but like you want to be as original as you can, and like that's going to be the best way. Like, and that's pretty tricky today to be able to avoid social media and these media platforms where you can like absorb that content frequently, like you want to take away from that. And like I get it, I guess if you're sort of learning, or sort of it can be super helpful in trying to like decide who you are as an artist or a skater or whatever, but you do want to get to a point where like, okay, like I've got some sort of fundamental idea about what this is about and take it on my own roots. So that's I really like that concept in itself.
You explained it perfectly.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is. And yeah, obviously you kind of do it in anything, like looking at art. I probably look at stuff that does influence me to a certain extent, but then like once you have a foundational understanding or perspective on it, then you kind of want to go your own way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's sort of what I like to think about in my art practice, is that a huge part of what got me started was just this one guy that had seen it on Instagram, being like, oh fuck, like you can do this with painting sort of thing, and that's what got me started. And I was fully just immersed in this one guy
Who
for
was it?
like weeks. This is guy Michael Hafke. He's a New York painter, Jewish guy. Yeah, and I saw his stuff and I was like, fuck, like I want to be able to do this. Like I can do this, and just went off and did it. And like the first few months of me painting was purely just being like immersed in this guy's work, like completely checking every day to see if there's something new. And like I think that was cool. That was what it was so exciting about it for me, was being able to get, you know, similar results to what he was doing and get that sort of gratification. But like,
But then you take it in your own fucking
exactly.
direction.
And now that I have been able to do that, and I've got the skills, that I've got from him, I have been able to take it in my direction. And in doing so, I've actually almost gotten a bit tired of his work now. It's kind of interesting how it's sort of like gone full circle in a way.
You've developed your own style.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of taken what I can and go from it. So inspiration, I think,
It's
is
the
a
same with
huge
me.
part. Yeah.
Like I started just
all
like
bits.
really like, I don't know, looking at different art like through like pretty much just on Instagram or like in books at high school in the library, and then kind of just like trying different people's like approaches to art, and then picking and choosing like cool things I like.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like all of a sudden kind of made my own style.
That's
I feel like
the key
my
thing.
style at the moment is like each piece I finish is like completely different to the other one. So I don't have a very set style. It's just kind of, I paint kind of what I'm feeling at the moment, or
For
like
sure.
the past. Like I reckon if I could describe my art, it would be I paint my feeling within a time period, like maybe the past month, or the past week, or how I'm feeling on that day.
Yep, definitely relate to that. I'm the exact same, and I never take longer than a day on a painting. Like for me, painting is purely just that day and how I am that day, and the idea I had that day, because if I take any longer, I'm going to get bored of it. So the joy for me is being able to make something then and there, and like get that quick sense of accomplishment, which can sometimes be detrimental. It can turn out not that great, and I can be very unhappy, and that's fine. I just take that on the chin and come back to it the next day.
But at least you tried.
Yeah, exactly. And to our point before about like where our inspiration comes from, I think it's super important to have inspiration. Like for me, having that person to look at and go, right, this is my drive. Like this guy is doing this crazy shit I've never seen before. I want to be able to do that. And now it sort of gets the wheels turning, and then I could go, oh, well, I don't actually like his stuff anymore because I've found the way it's going to take me. Like I think because there's such a fine line between that and actually just copying like another artist. You can so easily do that as well. Get so caught up in that one person that it ends up that you just basically just like made their work again. And that can be so easy to do if you just have like, if you're so wrapped up in that person's lifestyle and the way that they create and paint, or whatever field it is, you can almost completely translate that, which I don't even know what that is at this stage. Like it pretty much is copying it, but like if you're happy doing that thing, is it okay? Or like, is it actually copying, and like you should spin it in a new direction? Like I've always wondered that, because I feel like there's been a lot of times in my life where I have blatantly copied something or someone, but I feel so good about it because I've achieved the same result that I wonder if it is actually art, or whether it's actually just copying. Like you're just doing nothing worthwhile, you know?
Yeah. Are you getting the satisfaction from making something, or are you getting the satisfaction from like mimicking it?
Yeah, exactly.
And like being like, oh, that's exactly the same as what he did.
Yeah. Which can be such a great feeling too, to be able to go, okay, I've got far enough that I've got that same result, and that's
you
what
really
I like,
what he did,
love.
and you made the exact same thing. Like not the exact same thing, but you made something that is like really similar, but you're just as happy with. Yeah, it's like a really good feeling. But then at the same time, you're kind of like, but it's not. It wasn't original kind of thing.
That's the originality.
I
to
reckon
it.
taking like inspiration from other people's art is super fun.
Yeah.
I always
definitely. I have no thing against that. But
if I'm like kind of like have nothing, if I like go to paint something, I have nothing to think about. I'll just like look on my phone, like look at other people's art, like, I don't know, go for a walk or something like that, try and find inspiration.
Yeah.
And then do the first layer, or like do the first like thing that comes to my mind, then, you know, leave it for a while, or if I have another idea, go back to it. Like, I don't know, that's my process anyway.
Yeah. And that's going to be different every time, right? Because you're going to want to be able to progress and like be able to sort of figure out what works and what doesn't work and what's natural and what's not natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's okay to like copy someone to create a skill set. So like if you're looking at someone to say, okay, well, how did they get to that result? How can I achieve that? Okay, well, practice. Okay, now I've got a
use it in your
Picasso
own
looking painting. I understand how that works, but now I'm going to put it into my own thing.
Yeah,
that's probably
use that skill that you learn and then put it in your your own way.
And that's a lot of how I sort of came to do what I'm doing is just purely based on, okay, like how did he do that? Oh, I see he used this and that and he applied it like this. Okay, I understand that now. I get the feeling from that. Right, how am I going to use that? Yeah. Rather than being like, okay, well, that's how I make that art, and now this is my art as well, which is a weird thing. And not that I've seen a lot of people do that, but it's just been trying to figure out like where to draw the line between inspiration and copying, and that can be quite a hard thing to actually understand sometimes. It's very easy to look at other people's work and go, okay, well, that just looks like a such and such, or this is a whoever, you know, and then go, okay, well,
you can, I don't know, you can definitely tell when people like just copy kind of thing, and I mean, and then you can definitely tell when people just like draw inspiration from other people.
Yeah.
It can be like awkwardly blatant too sometimes.
Yeah,
like, oh, okay,
exactly.
This is like whoever, which can be awkward. But yeah, I'm gonna pee.
Yeah. I got a couple ideas on that for sure. Like, what the hell was I going to say? It's there. It depends if it can. Yeah, it depends. Like, if you could be classically trained in that way, and if you can't, and you have to learn how to do that, I'm gonna have to repeat this probably. But basically, if you can, if you can't be trained or classically trained in that way or that art form, and you have to copy it, you may as well do what Kieran was saying about you copy it until the point that you understand it, and then you take it down your own avenue.
Well, it's pretty much the same as like fucking learning art, like going to like an art class. Like you learn from a teacher. It's the same. Like you're just looking at someone else. You're looking at what other people are doing, and then learning that skill, and then doing it in your own way, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like just looking at other people's art, watching what they're doing, and then learning it to an extent. And then I find like I'll look at people's art and then be like, oh, okay, I'll try it, never get close to what they're doing, but by trying what they're doing, I'm learning a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And then almost liking it more because I try to do what they did, but then did it my own way.
Yeah.
And did something completely different.
Yeah. Sick.
I reckon the first person that kind of got me into art was watching that Mark Gonzalez, but I don't paint anything like him. But then Ed Batts in New Zealand is like, I reckon he's the fucking shit, like so gangster.
Yeah, sick.
But like, look, just watching what he does, and then I don't know, like trying to do it completely, just like not nailing it at all, and then just like I don't know, doing my own thing from that.
Yeah, you learn a little different thing about yourself. Little idea on like the copying thing. I was just saying to Joe, basically like if you can't be like classically trained in what that is or that style of art, what else are you going to do?
Right.
Like, you kind of have to copy it to understand it and then take it down your own avenue. Like what, I mean, if it could be the same painting, it could look the same and everything, and then you kind of develop those skills and then take that onwards. and take that to a place that you want to, you know, create an image that you want to create. I mean, I feel like it's almost a necessity. It just depends on how you copy.
Yeah.
Like if you copy and you make money from what you copy because it's fucking something from like Afghanistan and no one's seen it before, but it's still like, you know.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And yeah, I think when you're starting to profit from something that is blatantly copying, that's obviously a big no-no.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. Like if you haven't gone to or choose not to go to art school or something to learn these skills, and you just want to do it because you know you want it for a whole. That's basically what I haven't been to art school or anything. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to do it. So I'm like, okay, so how do I learn to make art like this person does?
Yeah, if it's in the style.
It's just a matter of practice and repetition and just, I guess, constantly sort of trying to further yourself and eventually reach a result that you can then taper off into something else.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably, I feel like it's a necessity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's a hard thing to decide. Like, I think that also sort of defines how you're going to end up as an artist as well, depending on how you can translate your copying or learning
rendition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, into something that's your own rather than just sort of carrying on the field, because that can become pretty obvious.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, and that can come back at you, you know. But just depends how you handle the situations. I think this is what I think about a lot: is anyone in any field, you are defined in what you do by how you handle certain things within that field. So in that case of art, like how you handle the process of getting frustrated at not being able to achieve what you want to achieve, but when you do, what you do with that thing, you know.
Yeah,
that ties into what you were saying about skateboarding as well. It's like snapping your board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, eventually getting to that point where you're either going to go, okay, it's not my day, I'm going to quit, or whether you go, okay, I'm just going to push through a wee bit more and try and get it, or you just go, no, I just need to take it out on something and break your board on that, and that point, and that defines, I think, your skated personality, right? In that sense, yeah, because people can handle frustration reasonably poorly in some cases as well, and that can affect the longevity of that task, right?
Yeah.
Can easily be
it's almost
diminished.
a good feeling though when you get super angry at skateboarding, because I'm not like generally not an angry person. Well, I don't. Or I mean, I could be, but I don't really show it. But like being able to let that anger out is super therapeutic for me anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Having like if you're the only person, like if you're street skating, you're the only person skating, and you're the only person that, I don't know, it's not that like people are watching, but you're the only person skating because you're the one trying this one trick. Like you have, I mean, you're allowed to be that angry, and no one can really say anything about it. Because I can like, it's not like you're being angry for no reason. Like you have a reason, and I'm just letting out so much anger that might not even be about that trick. Maybe I've just been frustrated about other things for like a few weeks. Yeah,
it's literally just like breaking your board. It's like it can be just a build up of frustration. Like you can't, like you're literally failing yourself, and you don't know. Like a lot of the time, probably because when you break your board, you don't know why you're failing yourself. You can't figure it out. You might be able to go there next week, and it could happen in 5 tries.
Yeah.
And you don't know why that happened either.
That's the good buzz.
Yeah. It's it's a weird one.
Usually
I just lie down. I just stare at the sky or something.
Yeah, exactly. Just take in that moment. And again, comes back to like that's part of you dealing with it, right? Like rather than sometimes you might not get that frustrated and take it out on something, you just actually just like lie down, sit down. Like, okay, like what is happening right now? What should I be thinking about? What should I not be thinking about? But I can imagine how frustrating that will be, and it definitely can translate to other things that I've done in my life. But like skateboarding is something that is so particular, and like so many variations of doing one thing can achieve the same result, but also something so subtly different can be detrimental at the same time.
Yeah.
Like being able to not get something one day and get it like first try the next day. That's such a weird thing to wrap your head around, because it's
bizarre.
like, what was I doing differently that day? And it's weird how, again,
like
like
coming back with like a fresh mindset,
yeah, and it's weird how that
and that can
changes
that can
things, you
happen
know?
not even within, like, it could happen within one try.
Yeah,
Like, you could be bailing, then walk up the stair. I don't know if you're doing a stair set trick or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Walk back to where you're starting from, and then your mindset just changes like that, and you're like, oh, I just need to do it like that.
Yeah.
And then you do it first try.
yeah.
First try with that new mindset, and you're like, fuck, I should have done that 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
It happened to me. I was trying a trick, and it wasn't working for ages, and I was thinking about skating the whole time. For whatever reason, I went back to the start of the roll up to the trick, and as I'm rolling in, I just started like thinking about a James Brown song. I wasn't even thinking about skateboarding.
Yeah.
Sometimes I won't even think about skateboarding, and it, like maybe if I just distance myself from thinking about it too much, maybe that's why it works. You know, like I'm not overthinking it, but it was really weird. Like
That's so powerful. Like it sounds so simple in the moment that it just, I thought of this and it clicked and it worked. But like that thing in itself is so crazy, how just a day, or like just changing something so subtly in the mood, whether it's mental or whatever, changes the physical. I just find that so fascinating, how you can just have just a different mental state, but achieve the result differently, like, or achieve or not achieve. But yeah, I don't know. That's a crazy concept, but that's just human, I guess. Yeah. Crazy. All right, fellas. Look, we've had a pretty
real
long
go at
chat
it.
here.
Yeah.
This has been really fun. Like,
Yeah,
you
I've
guys have
enjoyed
some
it.
really cool insights into things. I think this was definitely worthwhile pod. So definitely keen to have you guys in the future. You're gonna be on soon anyway.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you'll be back.
Try
I'm
and
sure
stop
you'll
it.
be back again.
Yeah, I'm keen.
soon.
Man.
Finn.
I love it. Yeah, I'm definitely keen to like go in on certain things. Like,
Definitely,
I just find it pretty interesting.
Pretty
sitting down
passionate guy, and I'm sure he has some other deep insights into some of these things. So we'll definitely see
sure.
you coming back on. So I appreciate your time, guys. This was really fun. And
Thanks for having us.
yeah, no, you're more than welcome. So all right, bye everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Sick. That was fun. Awesome. That was really fun.
That was really fun. Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah, that's so mean.
Home Audio Entertainment.
9016 Radio.
The show for artists of all kinds.
Sit down and relax. Enjoy the music.